Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Great to be with you. Good Monday. Hope you're doing all right. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online. ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming. Free always. We'll post all 3 hours of this here program upon its conclusion, both to iTunes and our own audio vault. So if you get caught up or you can't get caught up, go back there and do so. I know a lot of people are strained right now, time constraints. Maybe emotionally you're struggling today with all that took place over the weekend. But that's where you go. Once you've established a sense of calm, zen-like, you go, let me listen to Cameron. It's going to be all right. Maybe not. Maybe it's not. Maybe when you listen to me, you'll go, nope, not going to be okay. We got real issues. Could be. JCS at 979 ESPNradio.com. On Twitter, it's at JCameronShow. If you're there on Twitter, you should also follow at 979 ESPN Radio because it would allow you to Periscope. And who doesn't want a Periscope? On YouTube, it's ESPN Tallahassee. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you're doing okay. And, I think that's it. I think it's everybody. JCS at 979 ESPNradio.com on the email address. Plenty of emails, plenty of opinions out there about what we witnessed on Saturday, which for a brief period of time seemed like it was going all right. I ran into a friend of mine as I was going up to the counter, Tom, at the Tom Lang Memorial Champions Club. And I went to grab a beer. I was very subdued in the Champions Club. I only had 2 beers. But I went to get one, and I probably should have had a lot more as the game went on. But I went to get one, and I saw my buddy, and he said, all right, okay. And that was midway through the first quarter. I was like, oh, hanging in there. Defense came to play today. And then, plane crashed into the mountain.
Oh, it sure did.
It did. Boy, did it do it. Man alive. That was something. All right, well, a lot of things to dissect, a lot of things to consider, a lot of things to kind of try and figure out, certain things that should bring us back down to earth, and others that should have us, I guess, focused on the right thing. If you just try to analyze the game, I think it's fairly self-explanatory. We went into the game thinking that this was a mismatch, thinking that this was a lopsided game in the making, and that Clemson would win and win big. I picked them to, and they did, but it's not how it happened. It's not that it happened. It's how it happened. It's not that the score was the score and that the game got away and that the better team won as we suspected they would. It's all of the stuff that plays out in a game that allows for you to analyze how we reached that final score that really became the burden, right? Became the thing that bothered you the most. The result was not what bothered you. The result was expected. It's how we arrived at that result. And how we arrived at that result, I like to shorten words, really had to do with some stuff that's unacceptable and that Willie Taggart addressed today at the press conference, much the way he did after that game. And that is that you have a handful of guys, give or take, that don't need to be out there. If they're not going to compete, and they're not going to give it themselves, and they're not going to show control under pressure, and they're not going to demonstrate a loyalty to each other and to the program and to the coaching staff, and if they're not going to maintain a level of concentration, focus, and effort that is required of anybody who's competing, especially in a situation in which you're in a team sport, a group sport, where you are dependent on the guy next to you, then they can't be out there. It's plain and simple. They can't be out there. If you are deemed to have quit at any point, you got to go. You got to go. And, he announced a couple of first half suspensions for punches thrown. We knew that was probably coming. Something like that has to happen. And we'll see if he takes it a step further. How much playing time does somebody like Nyquan Murray get the rest of the way? You could make an argument he shouldn't be here anymore. But I'm not in that locker room, and I don't know. I didn't get to break down the film play for play from the all-22s to see was something an effort problem, was something an injury problem. There are moments you go out there, you look, you think you know, but you don't know until you see those all-22s. So I give up a little ground there and say, I'm not so sure. I don't want a blanket statement that 10 guys quit or this guy certainly quit. But there were more than a handful of guys that you would suspect Some are repeat offenders. Some are guys that quit last year against Boston College in a 35-3 laugher. Some are guys that are left over from the group that quit against Louisville, in which we gave up 60-plus points as a favorite on the road as the number 9 ranked team in the country. Some are guys, and we saw loafing against North Carolina at home. Some are guys that have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt they can't be trusted, and they're not part of the solution moving forward, and thus you should just cut ties. So there's that aspect. There's the aspect of a lack of discipline. There's the aspect of repeated problems when it comes to special teams. Special teams garbage right now. Timeouts after a punt return. Just dumb things that we've seen too often. And that's the direct responsibility of Willie Taggart and his coaching staff. And they are to be blamed for that. That is unacceptable at this late stage of the season to see these repeated problems. That's coaching. That's poor coaching. That's not getting through to kids. Some are bigger than that. Some of the issues we're talking about, and I think that's in large part the area we're most concerned about, are culture issues. Culture issues that you've got to get righted. And they don't happen overnight, and they certainly haven't happened to the extent that you thought they would up to this point in the season. And that is very difficult because it's something that can't happen with the click of a button or a snap of the fingers, right? You have to apply a certain standard. You have to have a set of standards and principles that you follow and you adhere to at all time. And every member of your organization is responsible for doing that. And they have to exhibit that they're willing to do that. And if they don't, they have to go. And so that's where we're at now, at the crossroads, right? Alignment issues again and again on offense, and of course quitting on defense late in this game. There are other things that you could point to, but week in and week out, there have been these issues, these lack of attention to detail issues that fall again on this coaching staff. So there's enough blame to go around is what I'm getting at here. I mean, you got to get guys to be deeply committed, folks. I mean, deeply committed, and when they face adversity, they're committed to something bigger than that moment, that game, that result. And I just don't see that right now. Oh, I think Willie is. I think he's trying to teach that and instruct kids in a way that will get them to understand the bigger picture and demonstrate character and show the kind of resolve we all want to see. But it hasn't happened yet. And now the question is, from a lot of you guys, is it going to happen? Is he the right guy to make it happen? I think so. There are plenty of people out there today who don't. And I would say that time will tell. Nobody wants to hear that. You want an instant response. You want serious evaluation and reflection and all the kinds of things that have to happen after a game like this. But I also think you got to be fair. And there is a direct connection between details and improvement. I agree with you. And when those details aren't in play, then it's hard to improve. And that's something you can criticize this staff for without question. Some of the other stuff is a little bit deeper and a little bit tougher. And I think you're going to have to start with some serious decisions regarding personnel and who you need to cut the tether from, who you need to say that I'm going to deal appropriately with and move on.
Yeah, personally, I may have been more heavy-handed with one or two players, maybe one that was announced today to be suspended for a half of a football game because you didn't see something on Saturday that was out of character for the player. You saw something that you would guess,
it's not shocking. Yeah.
And that's Nooney Murray, of course. But for me, life is not binary in most situations, and I don't think this situation is either because I kind of felt the opposite about this game than I did the Wake Forest game. I thought we had a plan. We came out with a plan on offense and defense, and I thought we executed those plans to a point pretty well until you make boneheaded plays that kill drives. Dropped passes, a snap that wasn't called for, a mile over the head of the quarterback. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're in 2nd and 40, and you're about to cross midfield. You got Lawrence on his heels a little bit because of the pressure we're bringing, the ability to stop the run. We're covering well to start this game. Clemson's punter shanks a punt. You got 1st and 10 on the plus 49. A ball delivered right to the chest of the outbreaking Nyquan Murray. Doesn't make a catch. First, I mean, you're rolling. You've got chances to take an early lead in this game. Do I think that means that Florida State was on its way to an upset? No, but it was on its way to playing a game that we could be proud of. And so if I just looked at that in a vacuum, which I know, of course, you can. I'll get to that in a second. But if I look at those moments in a vacuum, the first quarter plus, I'd say that makes me feel more hopeful about what we can do against NC State, Notre Dame, Boston College, and Florida. But my concern is the rest of it, which is where's our head at? Are we going to be ready to play?
Yeah,
Culture-wise, where are we?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I do. I believe that to be a good point. I share those same sentiments, maybe not to the extent that you do. I think we were living a lie there early on. We certainly matched emotion, and we rose to the occasion of a home game against a team, the requisite talent of Clemson, and I thought that we would to some extent early, but I just didn't think it would be sustainable, and I don't think it would have been even if we hadn't shot ourselves in the foot, because I don't think we can block Clemson, so I don't think you can sustain drives, basically. And that's why, you get back to ultimately it's almost 7 yards per play for Clemson. Would that have happened had this thing not gotten out of control? It'd have been a little bit lower, certainly. But we were going to lose the field position battle because we couldn't sustain drives. We talked about that before the game. That ended up playing out. I think it would have, in spite of all those other issues.
Of course,
yeah.
but we're putting ourselves in a position to make a game of it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
Like, you have a missed kick. It's 0-0 in the second quarter, and then that penalty happens. I'm not excusing anything away. All I'm saying is I thought it was the opposite of the previous week's game in that I thought
at least to start, yeah.
They were lined up, they were ready to go from a scheming standpoint, but then the execution wasn't there. And is that on the coaches? 100% it is. But the way they had empowered our players to play this game on Saturday in a vacuum would have me buoyed for the Final Four. If the psyche of this team is so weak that the second, third, and fourth quarters looked like they did, are they ready to get on a plane and go to NC State? I don't know.
One of the things that when you're trying to change culture and you're trying to implement something that you deem to be valuable and you sell a message to a team and you're talking to them about what it's going to take to get this turned around. And, Willie is attempting to show, I think, on a fairly regular basis. Bill Walsh used to talk about this. Lots of coaches talk about this. In any book you read on leadership, you talk about having poise and as the leader of a group, having poise and then trying to, get others to show it, right? And get those guys to commit to sacrificing and to something much bigger, right? Maintain a level of concentration and focus and all of these things on the greater good and the bigger picture and all of those things, right? And seeking that and promoting that, you hope to get guys to not be so subject to the whims of emotion, as I like to say.
Yeah.
And we just aren't there. Too many guys are subject to those whims of emotion. They don't get the bigger picture right now. They don't always demonstrate respect for the greater organization or each other or what it represents to be a Florida State football player. It's not everybody's not deeply committed, and when you recognize that, makes it difficult to move forward because you've got to get rid of that. It's a cancer. You've got to find a way to extricate that, and that's the only way you're going to move forward. Then you can promote all those values. Then you can have the principles that you build a great culture on. And there just are some older guys, and this is the challenge for any coach that comes into a situation where things have gone south, where the locker room is fractured. I get it when people say, listen, I'm tired of hearing about Jimbo's betrayal and the problems of that locker room. I get it. He was bad. He's moved on, but we've got to move on, and you can't keep blaming him. I get when people say that. I understand why they say that, too, because you got to put the past behind you and start building to move forward and have success. But you also can't ignore some of the symptoms of that when they're revealed, when you see that. And I think any coach that comes in and is trying to change culture, he's trying to marry some of the talents and abilities of the older players that were recruited by the previous regime that he could utilize now in his new system or whatever it is he's building with the younger guys that he's brought in and he's sold the message to and he's seen bought in. And he's in best case scenario, it happens, right? You get some of those guys that are going to be important to your team to believe in you and say, okay, I mean, I may not be here for when this gets turned around, but I believe in what you're doing, and I'll demonstrate that loyalty and focus and intensity and all those things, and that will help the younger guys. And someday I'll reflect on that and realize I was part of the solution. Chris Thompson was part of the solution, right? I mean, because of the way he played and his focus and dedication to his teammates and players, he didn't get to win that national championship, and we were saddened by that.
Oh, yeah.
But he was a big part of why we did. He bought in. There are some guys on this team doing that. Brian Burns has bought in. You give him all the credit in the world. That guy believes. He's playing his ass off. He's doing everything he can, and he's not going to be here to see the fruits of his labor, unfortunately. He's not. And there are a few others like him. But there are too many guys whom, for them, the commitment required a level of selflessness that they're not willing to take part in. And that's a shame, because you want to give them the benefit of the doubt. You want to give them the opportunity, because they can help you. Frankly, they can help you, and they can be a part of the solution. But the second they prove to you that they aren't there, they're not where you need them to be, they don't have the respect for the organization, for you and their fellow teammates, and they're not deeply committed, and they don't demonstrate great character, you gotta part ways, and maybe that's what this game does. If something good comes out of this, and you won't know until it's 2 and 3 years down the road. I'm sure, and I've interviewed Dabo Swinney only a couple of times, but Lord knows enough profiles have been done on him about his struggles early on at Clemson and the perceptions of him being a clown and a bit goofy and everything else and not equipped to do the job. And all those things have been said and talked about ad nauseum, right? But then somewhere along the way, in every one of those interviews, he'll talk about how he was worried he wasn't going to get that chance, and he and his wife were prepared to be fired, and all of that was true, right? And there was somebody that had belief in him, and then fast forward, here we are. And in that stretch where people began to doubt, that team had some embarrassing moments, some brutal losses, games where they were the better team, had more talent, and they gave it away, and they were constantly chided by Steve Spurrier at South Carolina, and they gave up 77 to West Virginia in the Orange Bowl, and they gave up 51 at home to Florida State on a night where it was going to be a coronation. All of that, right? So I think of that when I watch a game like this. And while it pains my heart to watch 59-10, and it's hard to see a silver lining, I think, okay, all right. So here's the deal. If this is the watershed moment, if this is the moment where he realizes, gotta cut ties, gotta part ways. You know what, Nooney? Been real, man. Have a good day. Best of luck to you, young man. I ain't kicking you out of school or whatever. You can be here and cheer your teammates on. I'm not playing you. I gotta go with the younger guys. Gotta do it. And now you have a decision. Ball's in your court, but that's it. You're not playing this weekend. And you name 4 or 5 other guys, whomever it is he deemed that he saw on film quitting, right? Or the older guys that haven't bought in, and they are not part of the solution, and they're not willing to go the distance or the extra mile for their teammates or for the program. You tell them all, thanks, man. It's been real. And you play those young guys, and you go from there. And even if you lose the remainder of your games, you're building towards something that ultimately, when they do that profile, when they have that discussion about where you were and how sad things were that first year and how it didn't look like you were going to survive, they'll cite these moments. They'll cite this game. They'll cite those times. You know that's how these scripts are written. We see it all the time. But it's hard to live it in the moment, man. Really hard to live it in the moment.
Do you think DeAndre Francois quit?
No.
It's an important thing to say.
I don't think he quit. I don't think he played well. I thought he played poorly. I thought he was betrayed by his receivers early on. I think he got hit and frustrated and angered by all of what was happening, and he just didn't play well. He wasn't always in check of his emotions. He didn't see things that he needed to see.
No, he saw ghosts.
He saw ghosts, and it happens.
And
you know?
trajectory as the game went along, too.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that. I don't think he's the guy moving forward. I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't here next season.
Yeah.
But I don't think he quit. That's a big distinction.
That's important to say about the quarterback on the Monday when everybody is starting to say, well, who quit? Who did? Who didn't? And 12 is, going to be a lightning rod.
Well, he didn't play well,
forevermore.
And he's not always going to play well. He's got some shortcomings. He's not a great player. He's a good college quarterback, decent college quarterback. He's not fit for this system. We know that. So there are a lot of factors there, but I'll never question his toughness, and I don't think he quits.
I think the gut punch about today as it relates to Coach Taggart, and I'm sure this is the anger that he feels or whatever kind of negative emotion he feels, is everything you've done for the past nearly 11 months now, from intervening in bowl practices to bring enjoyment back to the game to their off-season workouts and the chase. Remember all the social media videos that were put out there?
Yeah.
And it was all the coaches talking about a bond and togetherness. And then we get out there for practices, and you hear the message is positive.
Yeah.
They're trying to build these kids' spirits back up. I mean, that is nearly a year-long process, and you go to great lengths to bring this group together with the one that you recruited at the 11th hour and to make it all work together. Remember, Coach Kelly talked about it in fall camp. When they were all in the same room for the first time, you could feel tension, but by the end of it, they started to get along because it's a new coach and it's a new coach's group of players with the old guard.
Mm-hmm.
And they were worried about tensions, but they thought they got through it. The hard part about this weekend and seeing what happened when adversity struck was that it didn't work. His plan didn't work.
Not as quickly as we wanted it to, no.
And that's not about the program. It's about this group this year rebuilding their psyche to the point where they're not going to shut down.
Well, see,
what we learned this weekend is whatever the plan was, as hard as it is, it didn't work.
Yeah, and the good news is this. To counter that, and not necessarily counter it as an argumentative point, but rather, I guess, to add to what you're saying in a positive spin, or in a positive light, Willie's track record is that it will work. It always has. Part of Willie's record that people love to cite in terms of being sub 500 as a coach is that he took over programs in complete disarray. It took him a little while to get it going. Nobody wants to hear that right now, I understand. But going to Western Kentucky and taking that program that had lost 20 straight games and eventually getting them to a place where obviously Jeff Brom did well and others did well, that Western Kentucky was able to segue into a higher division of football and become something now that they'd always dreamt of being. And a former player and coach got them there because he had a message and he had a way of going about it, and he figured some things out, and there were missteps along the way, but ultimately he got it right. And then it happened again at South Florida. After Skip Holtz had made a mess of that program, he gets there, and it takes some time, longer than maybe you'd like it to. And no, certainly you don't want to sit around and have losing seasons. I got it. But a willingness to change.
Yeah, that one was on the brink, and he decided to change.
And he made a change.
Yeah.
A significant change. And it brought about an outcome that was also significant because he engaged in a process and he sold it, and people bought into it eventually, and they won to the point where they won 17 of the last 20 games he coached there, and that in turn got him what? A look at Oregon. They didn't just haphazardly decide, let's hire Willie Taggart. No, they saw the level of success he was having in turning programs around, and they were down, and they went, oh, we better find a guy that could come in here and change the culture and get it turned around. And in 1 year, I'll grant it, I wish that was happening here, but it's not. He went to Oregon, and they finished 8-5. Would have been a better record had their starting quarterback not gotten hurt for some of those games. But the point is, immediate turnaround there. So that was beginning to happen. So a track record is something you can look back on then as evidence that things will follow a certain path. It's a predictor of future successes, right? Those past results.
Yeah.
That's what I see today. I see the failures of the now, and I recognize that in the moment it hurts, it sucks, it's painful to go through, and nobody likes it, and getting handed a loss like this is a kick to the cojones. But it doesn't necessarily mean it is going to be what we are next year or the year after. I'll grant you there is plenty of room for criticism of Willie Taggart and his staff this year, and I've engaged in some of it, but I'm not going to engage in lunacy and ignore past successes as what is a predictor of the future. So to me, I think, again, this could be a watershed moment. It could very well be that, and it better be, because if not, he'll be gone in 2 years. That's the bottom line. It doesn't matter. You can remove emotion. There's no sense in getting angry to the extent that you say crazy things like people do online. Here's the deal. Either he'll fix it, get it right, get the culture shifted, or he's fired. That's the end of it. He's got next year, and he'll go into that third year on the hot seat, firmly on the hot seat, if they're not infinitely better than they are currently. Time will be the predictor of that. We will decide. But in the interim, let's see what he does at a pivotal moment early in his tenure at Florida State.
It would be terribly foolish to ignore his track record. And that's why, yes, when you said, you're not saying something as a counter argument just to argue the other point.
Right.
I agree with you. But, I still, as I said, I think he's the guy to get it turned around. But I just think that unfortunately for this year, he had a plan of action to try and change morale and build us back up. It's almost like he walked in for the back half of the process in boot camp. we were broken down. And now he's trying to lift us up together. So through togetherness and fellowship, all that kind of stuff, right? They eat a bunch of times a week together, all those things, just to make us care about one another enough that when adversity strikes,
Right.
we don't pack it in. It wasn't enough for this group. It just wasn't.
Yeah, I think I'd be careful. I would say that that's true, but I would say that maybe that's true for a select number of players. This isn't all a loss, meaning that there may have been real growth for a lot of these guys that you are going to trust moving forward.
Yeah.
I'm saying that there is a select group, maybe a handful, maybe a little bit more than a handful, that didn't buy in, and it ruined your opportunity to see real,
Right.
positive advancements on the field.
No, I'm not blaming 80 people. You know what I mean?
Right,
and
right.
I think when he says a handful, you got to trust him in that moment. But to say that it didn't overwhelm our morale in general on Saturday, that didn't have a part to play.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence did too. Clemson's talent on the defensive line certainly had a big hand
Well, they're really
in where
good.
we were.
Yeah, Clemson's a lot better than we are right
Because
now.
they're a really good football team. But, it's not just shell shock because they're beating us. There is some other stuff going on here, or else he would not have approached his post-game press conference the way he did.
Yeah, and I think that when we get into those criticisms of the things that I think are applicable to this staff, this current staff, not Jimbo and his staff or anything that's left over or anything like that, when I talk about the lack of attention to details which lead to improvement, that's a problem. That's what I'm angry about. That continues to be a problem, and that is a direct reflection of poor coaching currently with this group. That has to change because that does lead to success. That does lead to improvement. The focus, hardcore, the relentless drive, and the relentless attention to detail leads to that improvement. It does, and so we got to get better there.
Well, and that's where on offense specifically, even though you get through the first quarter and into the second and you feel good about the way you're playing Clemson, given all of the advantages that Clemson has entering this game and why Vegas believes they're a 3-score favorite on the road, Doak Campbell Stadium.
Right.
That's where you can get mad at the offense and the coaches on the offense. It's Willie's offense to run. We know that Walt Bell's a bit of an operations guy day-to-day in practice from what we saw in camp, but whoever's teaching these kids how to line up doesn't know what the hell they're doing. And also...
Or they're not getting through to them, one or the other, yeah.
Right, or they're not getting through to them.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you could look at any number of examples of either the drops or the positioning or the timing. Look at our first third down. See the alignment out there? You got an open throw and a blocker in front of him. I mean, that's a big play right out the gate. But you have a miscommunication between receiver and quarterback.
Your quarterback screwed you there.
Well, how many times are we going to have to go through that?
Well, right, but he's not one of the ones who quit. So it's just he's not good at running your offense.
Communication, being on the same page and understanding where you need to be, depth of routes, all that kind of stuff. We know it's not always the quarterback, it's not always the receiver, but a lack of communication over and over and over and over again eventually does move up the ladder.
Well, you'll hear it a lot throughout the day because I think I said it 10 times on Saturday, and I've just had it in my head because I've heard coaches say it, and I've heard criticisms of organizations and others, and it's always either you coach it or you condone it, and that's what we have going on here in some cases where I will get frustrated with this staff, and the onus is on them to get that right. I mean, either you coach it or you condone it. But for whatever reason, those things continue to happen, and that is a very, very fair criticism of this current crop. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you put Dickey's Barbecue Pit in your game plan, you'll be ready for tailgating season with slow smoke greatness. Whether you're feeding just a few or the whole crew, Dickey's packs are freshly prepared with plenty of quality meats, wholesome sides, and buttery rolls to satisfy everyone at your party. Texas brisket, ribs, pulled pork, sausage, smoked chicken, or turkey. Legit Texas barbecue. Visit Dickeys.com or use our app.
Makita cordless specials are heating up at Cornerstone Tool and Fastener in October. Buy a Makita brushless premium 5 amp hour kit with 2 batteries and get a 6 amp hour battery free. Plus, get your choice of the following: brushless recip saw, circular saw, half-inch impact drill, or a Bluetooth radio. Get rid of the gas with the Makita outdoor power equipment. Buy a brushless chainsaw or blower kit and receive 4 5 amp hour batteries and a dual bay chamber. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener with 2 locations to choose from: 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturdays 8 until noon.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Roofing is rewarding, but it's not exactly a bed of roses. It's a very dirty job, subject to the environment, working on 98-degree summer days, dodging rainstorms, working on steep slopes like a mountain goat. At Parker Brothers, our skilled workers have chosen this challenging trade as their career choice. These are the people that you want working on your roof. We've been servicing the community since 1995. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
CGC 042221, CCC 049350.
Barry knows cool, he's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool, you can put him to the test.
For a limited time, receive up to a $400 trade-in bonus when you upgrade to a Select Carrier home comfort system. Plus, you can now quickly and easily schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device at BaranoAC.com. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. It's that easy. Florida license CAC 057652.
24/7, 365. You're up and at 'em every day, so you don't want something like Medicare Part D to slow you down. At Walgreens, we'll take care of your Medicare Part D prescriptions, saving you time and money. Make the switch to Walgreens today and get more by earning 100 balance reward points and save up to $5 on each Medicare Part D prescription when Walgreens is your preferred pharmacy. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. Prescription savings applies to Tier 1 generics when you fill at a preferred versus a non-preferred pharmacy on select plans. Points can't be earned in New York, New Jersey, or Arkansas. Other restrictions and limitations apply.
Last-minute plans made easy. Head to GameDayExcursions.com today for a premium Chicago to South Bend experience. VIP parties, a bottomless mimosa and Bloody Mary Saturday reception, premium charter bus service, and fully stocked tailgate with inclusive beer and food. Head to GameDayExcursions.com today and use promo code JCS for $10 off each ticket.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I'm still going. I know you just heard the GameDayExcursions.com commercial. I'm not going to give you another commercial here in this moment. Maybe later. I get paid, man. We are going to Notre Dame. Tom's going. I'm going. I've got some buddies going. We're going to go. We're going to watch our team go out there and get an ass beaten. We're going. There we are. All right.
Yeah, it just so happens that the Noles are playing where we're going, you know. But to me, it's like We're getting out of town, enjoying some cold weather. Maybe it'll snow. How about that? How about a snow game in South Bend?
It's possible.
At this point, why not?
Well, I would like that. I would. I'd like that. Boston Red Sox do something that's difficult to do, and that is be the best team in the regular season, win at an alarming rate, and then carry it over into the postseason and execute in the same way you did in the regular season by dominating other 100-win-plus clubs and capturing the World Series with relative ease. They lost one game in this series. It was an 18-inning affair. It's that fine line. We talk about it in football. We talk about it in baseball a lot too. The difference between winning and losing is very fine when you get to the best of the best. You think about the games the Dodgers were in that series, could have gone either way had they done so. This is a 7-game series. Instead, they're dispatched in 5. But, one thing I did like about that series, and first of all, cool for Steve Pierce. There's a guy listening to us right now who, and I think he's probably listening, he used to come up to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill when we do remotes, who's good friends with Steve Pierce, went to school with him. Steve Pierce used to be with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he was a kind of an also-ran journeyman player, still has been with everybody under the sun, but has his moment in that sun as a guy that was, a non-waiver trade deadline from the Blue Jays. It's just crazy.
Turned World Series MVP.
Yeah, it's a dream. It's funny, Alex Cora told him when they met, listen, I'm going to bring you in. You're not going to be an everyday player. He wanted to be. He said, no, you're going to start against lefties. I'll try to get you some ABs occasionally against righties. I'll always let you know the night before. And Pierce appreciated his honesty, and despite what he wanted, said, okay, well, at least this guy's a straight shooter. Which, by the way, brings me to the larger point here, and that is that Cora is a first-year manager winning the World Series. And it's pretty cool to hear the players talk about him, about them reminding them constantly about how much fun baseball is, especially when you're good. You should go out, execute, play to your abilities, and have fun doing it. And, I don't know how easy that is to implement, like we're talking about with changing the culture here. Getting guys to convince themselves over the grind that is a 162-game season that, look, man, you're playing baseball for a living. And, by the way, a lot of you guys are really good at it. You should enjoy that fact that you're surrounded by other players that are really good. This is a good roster. We could win it all. Let's go kick some ass and have some fun while we do it. And, man, did they.
We tried that here, the whole fun approach. It just hasn't worked. But certainly the idea, that was the whole point.
We don't have a roster full of players that kick ass. So there's a big difference. You got to have guys.
You do have to have guys. We have some guys, but not enough.
Got a few guys.
Clearly.
Yeah. Oof. We got some guys. They're not on the offensive line. I can tell you that. We are miles away. That group is garbage. They had no shot.
All things considered through a quarter plus, do you think we protected better and blocked better than you expected?
For a quarter, I thought that in the pass game he had more time than I would have suspected. I don't really think the run game was open for business at any point.
I'm not saying open for business, just better than I thought. We would gain 2s and 3s.
Get 2
How
yards,
about
yeah.
this?
Well, I think
2nd and 7. We've been begging for that since Syracuse.
Yeah, I think we've lowered the bar to a point now where it's just laughable. And I agree with you. I'm at that place too. It's better than 2nd and 12. It's just sad that that's where we're at. We're like, all right, well, 2nd and 8. Well, it's a way to push, guys.
But that is literally what happens now.
Yeah. No, I know. It's damn it, man. It's a tough place. It's hard. I can't tell you it's not. There are people who are angry. It doesn't do you any good to get angry. He's not going anywhere, by the way. You can scream from the mountaintops if you want to, but that would be a silly move financially for the university. They're not going to do that, nor should they, more importantly. Willie Taggart has proven time and again that he can coach. And when you talk to other coaches who know the game and are paid handsomely to coach it, they'll tell you that as well. But it is true that he has failed in some areas in year one. And when you're on the heels, I think the interesting aspect of this, when I sense the frustration that I think crosses the line, I'm reminded of the fact that a lot of that has to do with the fact that we were terrible last year. We were 5-6 when Jimbo left last year. We weren't any good the previous year. We just weren't a good football team the last few years. Record-wise, we were whatever we were a couple years ago, 10-3 or something like that, but we weren't very good, and we knew that. We talked about us not playing to our ability, to our talent, playing down to people, constantly playing close games against people that don't have a fraction of the talent you have.
How about backing down against Louisville in 2016?
Right.
Not just the beat down, but backing down.
Yeah,
They're taunting us.
Right. The whole thing, there was a lot of bad things. There have been a lot of moments of humiliation. I think that's what we're getting at. I mean, moments where you're humiliated, where that was one of them, where you're favored and you go on the road in College game days there and you give up over 60 points, and really they could have scored anything they wanted. And then you had, what you had last year, and now you're in this season. And so it all adds up. I think it's tough for Willie because for Willie, he comes in and he's tasked with getting this turned around. And, hey, listen, he's paid handsomely. I'm not losing sleep over it for Willie Taggart. He's got a job to do, and he's got to do better than he's doing. There's no doubt about that. But when you try to analyze the place we're at, where a lot of the fan base, then in a way that seems unreasonable for a first-year coach, I'm reminded that I think stems from the fact that we haven't been very good for several seasons. And it all culminates now in maybe year 4 of that, and it's thrust upon him. Like, come on, again with this? Our season's over before it starts again, just like it was last year. And it was an off season of, again, kumbaya. An off season of I love you, you love me, and you know what? I love this school in a way the last guy didn't, and I'm with you. And so we bought in so heavily, and I think it's the right thing to buy in. I also think long-term it's going to work out. But when you don't get those successes and all of that enthusiasm is met with disappointment, it leads to really a fan base that is, I think, can be best described as bitter, just very bitter. And, I'll tell you, Tom, just, we try to reveal of ourselves on this show. It's a way to connect to everybody. It's, I think, the best way to do radio is to connect with the community. Look, I'm a Bucs fan, man. I'm so tired of watching my teams just, I can't even say what I was going to say.
To high heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a guy that I think has the ability to be a franchise elite level quarterback who's shown it is now domed up and gone completely mental, and you got to bench him. You can't start him. Jameis is in a bad place right now, man. Crisis of confidence. You can see it all over his face. He doesn't believe in what he's seen. He's got no shot right now. And here we are this far along, and you're giving me this? No. What are we doing here? You can't start him. The team sucks. They can't get stops. So there's going to be another sorry-ass year for the Bucs. My college team is just, oh, my goodness gracious. I mean, we are a mess from a football standpoint.
We're a lot better than Wake. That's an improvement. Come on. That's all you can do is laugh right now.
Thank God the Lightning are good.
Yeah, that's true.
Although they got destroyed over the weekend, too. But that was the end of a road trip.
That's the end of a roadie. That was the day after they were in Vegas.
Yeah, no, I know. The Vegas effect is real. At least they beat Vegas. But it's, man, oh, my goodness gracious. What a time.
What a time to be alive.
That was another one we lost to Georgia Tech inexplicably. We have lots of those moments. It's, but whenever that happens.
Beaver strong, though, buddy.
Well, before we get to Beaver strong, which is fun to say. Before we get to that, whenever you feel that kind of downtrodden and feeling, as if there's just no getting this turned around, go back again to those moments that we all lived through, which is Florida steady winning national championships under Urban Meyer. Player for player, we don't have anybody that could suit up for them. They're taking a knee at halftime in our stadium out of pity with 3 timeouts left. And a few short years later, their head coach is faking a heart attack, and Florida State's on its way to winning a national championship and ruling the state.
A few short months later, really. It was just the next calendar year he did that.
But, I mean, it can happen. It has to, it can happen. And it's happened in a lot of ways to a lot of people, and it's happened to us. And you know that. But in the moment, man. Woo-wee.
Dabo was not afraid to chuck it around.
I wouldn't be either.
It's a rivalry game. You should. And we did it to him in 13. We called a play action out of our own end zone.
Yeah.
No, it's not the same coach.
To O'Leary?
To O'Leary.
Yes.
It should have been a 99-yard touchdown.
And I remember raising an eyebrow as I stood on the field when we called it and went, my God.
Yeah, I went up to the press box for that portion of the game.
Standing on the neck.
Every one of the press box went, ooh, oh, and it was audible.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody looked around saying, ooh, Jimbo. My God,
Jimbo was
Jimbo.
having none of it. But you're announcing your presence with authority. You're announcing that you are going to rule the day, that you are going to win over those borderline recruits who aren't sure about that program or this program. You're saying definitively this is where it's at. And I listen, when he was throwing late, he's throwing with a third-string quarterback. He's throwing around with guys that are the backup to the backups. I had no problem with it.
He's doing what he should do. I'm not either, but I'm
I
just
will-
saying he wasn't afraid.
No. And if I had been on the wrong end of that beating that he was that night with the nation watching, I would have remembered it as well. And we shouldn't forget this. I mean, these are things you use for motivation. And I think, by the way, this stuff about the recruiting, they had a huge turnout, right? And a lot of people say, oh, how bad is it to have all those recruits on the sideline watching this kind of an ass beating? I'm sure with one or two of them, it's not good. You may have lost a kid or two. It could happen. But you know what else? What better time to remind them, this is why I'm recruiting you. Look at these bums. Now, you wouldn't say that, but my goodness gracious, I've got you here because that guy right there that's currently in your position, he's not any good at all.
Depends on how thick the door is to your office, if you're meeting with the kid.
Johnny, now you can see why I had to recruit you. I mean, my God, we both know who's in your position currently. He can't play even a little bit. Son, playing time galore right here. Yeah, I mean, that's what you do when you're down. You promise a shot at playing time. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Group controlled by the New York Yankees and Dallas Cowboys has been named the sponsorship sales agent for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics and Team USA. Legends, a marketing and hospitality company, will be in charge of securing $2.5 billion in corporate support. The CEO of Legends says this is exactly what we thought the vision of Legends should be, adding the Olympics are a game changer as far as properties in the world. Legends will work with U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Properties, a joint venture between the city's 2028 Organizing Committee and the U.S. Olympic Committee. How has life changed for the Cleveland Cavaliers now that LeBron James is now with the Los Angeles Lakers? According to TMZ Sports, tickets to Wednesday's Cavs game against the Nets were going for as little as $2 on Flash seats. That's the digital ticketing service owned by Cavs owner Dan Gilbert. And that is a Bloomberg Business of Sports report. I'm Michael Barr.
I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's premier home purchase lender. We've created a new way to protect you from unpredictable interest rates. Our exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, we lock your interest rate for up to 90 days. Then, if rates go up, your rate stays locked. But if rates go down, your rate drops. Either way, you win. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply.
Do you ever wonder how we're streaming millions of movies on demand or doing our banking from the beach? And how are we watching a live mission from Mars? Smart business minds dreamed these ideas, and Amazon Web Services is how they built them. With the broadest functionality and the most experience, the leading enterprises trust the AWS cloud to build the next big idea. Are you ready to build it? Learn more at awsishow.com.
The devastation is unparalleled in our history. The massive damage, displacement, and loss of life are staggering. The recovery will be long and painful. Hurricane Michael has left its mark with us forever. Through it all, the remarkable devotion of utility service personnel, emergency management leaders, law enforcement and first responders, community relief organizations, and the hundreds of volunteers bringing aid and comfort to thousands of people here and across the region has been nothing less than heroic. It's hard to know how to express our gratitude, but right here, right now, this is our heartfelt word of thanks to all of you, our heroes. The men and women who have stepped up and remain determined to win this fight, and no doubt will go on caring and serving. Thank you. From Sperry & Associates, planning, design, and construction since 1973. Online at sperryconstruction.com.
Oh man, did you hear that Zingali's Billiards and Sports Bar is gone?
No, it's not gone. They moved back in January to Appalachia Parkway.
Is it the same Zingali's?
Not quite. It's bigger, has great food, more craft beer and wine, and has one of the best bars in town to watch a game, with 14 total TVs throughout the restaurant. Best of all, it's non-smoking.
Wait a minute. You mean I can shoot pool and watch the game all day long without having to worry about smoke?
Exactly. You can play darts, duckpin bowling, and shuffleboard too.
Wow, I didn't realize Zingali's had so much to offer.
They sure do.
Zingali's Billiards and Sports Bar. New location on Appalachia Parkway.
Car get caught in some gridiron action? Take it to Bob's Auto Repair and Collision Center. Now open at the new location on Lake Bradford Road. The new Bob's Auto Repair and Collision Center is still providing the best car care and collision service in town with the same great people, but now at a new state-of-the-art facility off Lake Bradford Road. Come check it out for a free collision estimate and find out why Bob's Auto Repair and Collision has been rated #1 with FSU students in Tallahassee for over 35 years. Bob's Auto Repair and Collision Center, 2293 Lake Bradford Road. Don't let your car get stuck on the bench this season.
License number MV01209. Eat, sleep, fish. Mike's Marine Supply and Skeeter Boats want to get you out on the open water. They're your local Skeeter dealer, custom rigged with the Yamaha outboards. Stocked with a full line of Skeeter boats from the Bass to the Saltwater Bay Series, Skeeter has been recognized for 18 consecutive years as the leader in customer satisfaction for fiberglass outboard boats. Check in at Mike's Marine Supply for the spring specials starting soon. Located at 1296 Coastal Highway, Panacea, Florida, call Mike's Marine at 984-5637. Online at mikesmarinetallahassee.com.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
And here, then we'll segue over to our friend Irash Fell. WarChant.com will join us next to talk about what we saw there. Should be noted, Willie Taggart's press conference today. I didn't lead with it, didn't mention it, should mention it because he suspended 2 players. Nyquan Murray is suspended for the first half of the game against NC State, and so is Zakondre White, the linebacker, for the first half of the game against NC State. And so, obviously, at this point, I guess you're not surprised, given what happened there?
No, and he was willing to offer a little more when it comes to who would the new starters be if he says you got to get some guys out and they can't play, period. Who were those new players going to be? We have yet to see, and he said, I'd rather not reveal that right now.
I like that in many ways. By not revealing it, he is a little bit more transparent. Being honest about not wanting to answer that question is fine with me. I'm okay with that. I think you, for one, you have strategic reasons maybe for not announcing that. And then number 2, I don't think you want to publicly shame necessarily certain guys. So I think that's the route he's going there. Just, no, I'll deal with it internally and we'll see. But we all will be watching with great interest to see those lineups and see who's not out there, who ordinarily is, who's not getting the reps, who's not playing at all. All of that's true. You know what else is true, folks? It happened. It finally happened, and now we got to retire the bid. But we wondered aloud on Friday if it was possible. I thought Colorado might be a little overrated. And in truth, I didn't actually think Oregon State would do it, but they did it. So tomorrow the call happens. In the interim, we celebrate Oregon State as being the first ever hell to the nah team of the week to actually win despite a gaudy point spread against. They come back. They beat Colorado in overtime 41-34. And here it is.
Jack Colletto turns it upfield, and he's into the end zone. Touchdown, Oregon State. Luton trying the fade route, and it's caught. Touchdown! What an effort by Isaiah Hodgins. Montez throws, and Oregon State, a miraculous comeback is finished. The Beavers have won in Boulder.
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Hell to the yes. Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, no.
I'm Fred Conrad, and I'm a criminal defense lawyer. For almost 20 years, I've been practicing DUI law in Tallahassee. Did you know if you're arrested for a DUI in Florida, your driver's license will be suspended regardless of whether you refuse a breath test or if you give a breath sample over the legal limit? And you only have 10 days from the date of the arrest to contest the suspension. Did you know in Florida, a DUI conviction will stay on your record for the rest of your life? If you've been arrested for a DUI, don't blow it. Call my office and talk to me today, 222-4005, or visit my website, fredconrad.com. I'll personally handle your case.
Makita cordless specials are heating up at Cornerstone Tool and Fastener in October. Buy a Makita brushless premium 5 amp hour kit with 2 batteries and get a 6 amp hour battery free. Plus, get your choice of the following: brushless recip saw, circular saw, half-inch impact drill, or a Bluetooth radio. Get rid of the gas with the Makita outdoor power equipment. Buy a brushless chainsaw or blower kit and receive 4 5 amp hour batteries and a dual bay chamber. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener with 2 locations to choose from: 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturdays 8 until noon.
Have you ever noticed when you report an accident or a claim to an insurance company, they are very eager to get you to one of their approved body shops. They say that they guarantee the shops work, but what they're really saying is the shop works for them, not the customer. So choose a shop that is working for and looking out for you, someone you trust. It's your choice. Lisa's Paint and Body.
License number MP46050.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan, and the 2019s are arriving every day, including the all-new 2019 Altima. Pick 6 Savings has almost cleared out the 2018 Altimas, but we still have a good selection of 2018 Rogues, Pathfinders, and Muranos that are all $6,000 off. All 2018 Sentras are $4,000 off, and we have over 40 to choose from. 2018 Versa S 5-speeds are $11,995, and 2018 Versa S Plus Automatics are $13,995. And we've extended the $10,000 off all 2018 Titan and Titan XD, regular cabs, extended cabs, crew cabs, gas or Cummins diesel. All 2018 Titans are $10,000 off, and we will give you $2,000 over Kelley Blue Book for your trade. That's $10,000 off all Titans and $2,000 over Kelley Blue Book for your trade, or a total of $12,000 in discounts on every Titan we sell. But you better hurry. The 2018s are going fast. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco. Prices include dealer preparation charge.
With football season in full swing, don't forget about fishing our local waterways after the games. Fish are still biting regardless of the score. Sea Quarters Marina, Carabel, Florida. Open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The marina has a ship store, which includes fuel, bait, tackle, ice, and all of your fishing supplies for the trip. Both diesel and non-ethanol fuel is available. Free Wi-Fi and pump out with boat slip rental. Sea Quarters Marina, 501 St. James Avenue, Carabel, Florida, 697-8400. Visit them online at seaquartersmarina.com.
Headed to the new Gordos, 'cause Eddie hit a home run just like the old Gordos. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
Jeff, I'm sitting right here, man. Why do you always speak about me in the third person?
Loving the new Gordos.
You gotta quit singing, man.
Got the outside deck. When the weather shifts, I'm gonna sit outside at the new Gordos.
Are we ever gonna get there? Can you speed up, please?
Lots of TVs.
1460 Market Street.
Woohoo!
This is Golic and Wingo.
Jalen Ramsey, if you're going to talk, and listen, I don't mind you talking. You know what? When you get your butt whipped, you need to talk a little more. You stand there and you give these one-word answers or no answer or two-word answers. You need to talk when you think you're going to play great, and you are great. Make no mistake about it. You are a great corner. But you better stand there and give some better answers than, I don't know, maybe, I'm not sure. That's not going to fly, my man. You're going to stand in front of the microphone. Stand in front of the damn microphone.
Golic and Wingo, weekdays at 6 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Driving every day from the AmeriGas studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio. WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. The Browns are starting over again. The team fired head coach Hugh Jackson and offensive coordinator Todd Haley. There were rumblings the relationship between the two had deteriorated to the point a move might have to be made. Since 2016 under Jackson, the Browns 36-1, and were last in the league in several categories, including offensive efficiency and points per game. The firings, not surprising, says ESPN's Tim Hasselbeck.
And even though they've added probably better talent onto that football team than has been there the last couple of years, they just didn't appear to be a team that was improving, to be honest with you, when you watch them. And I think you could be certainly critical of the offensive side of the ball, which is Hugh Jackson's background.
Browns have named defensive coordinator Greg Williams their interim coach. The Bills and Patriots cap off Week 8 on Monday Night Football, 8:15 Eastern, ESPN TV and the ESPN app. New England's won 31 of the last 35 meetings. Tom Brady 28-3 all-time versus Buffalo. After missing the last game with back and ankle injuries, Pat's tight end Rob Gronkowski is expected to play. NBA, Toronto's Kawhi Leonard and Milwaukee's Giannis Antetokounmpo will both miss tonight's showdown of 6-0 teams. Raptors are resting Leonard, while Giannis is in the concussion protocol and will not play. Pelicans will be without Anthony Davis a second straight game against the Nuggets tonight because of a sprained elbow. ESPN's Brian Windhorst and Adrian Wojnarowski reporting Cavaliers forward Kevin Love could be sidelined over a month with an injured left toe. NHL, Maple Leafs star Austin Matthews expected to miss at least 4 weeks with a shoulder injury. Matthews told reporters he does not need surgery on that shoulder. And the Red Sox have scheduled their World Series championship parade for Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Good Monday. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. But, hey, life's busy. If you do miss something, we'll post all 3 hours of the show today upon its conclusion, both through iTunes and in our own audio vault. Go find it there. Email the show if you want, jcs@979espnradio.com. You can find me on Twitter @JCameronShow. Use the WTSM app as well. And we're on YouTube. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Hello, YouTubers. ESPN Tallahassee there on YouTube. On Mondays, as we're wont to do, we bring in our friend Ira Schoffel of warchant.com. Lots to talk about today with Ira. Hello, good sir. How are you?
I'm great, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. This is an interesting time to cover a team in transition and a new coaching staff and a game, obviously, that ended disastrously. First things first, I want to go to your column on warchant.com after this game, talking about, within the context of sports, quitting and what we saw, and then marry that with Willie's press conference today. Do you think the requisite response from Willie Taggart was what you thought it would be today based on what he said after this game and what you observed on Saturday?
Yeah, I think that's probably as much as he can say. At the end of the day, he does need to field a team on Saturday. So it's not like he can go out and just be suspending wholesale suspensions. And I think there's got to be different degrees of his anger. I asked him this, and he wouldn't go there at all. But I do feel like there's a little bit of difference if you're not giving 100% effort when you're down 50, compared to when you're, there's still feasibility of you coming back and making it a game. I thought early in the second half, as poorly as FSU played late in the second quarter, they come out in the second half, and that first play out of halftime, second play out of halftime, they throw a simple little slant, I guess, and, Asante Samuel was a freshman, does a freshman thing. He tries to strip the ball out instead of making the tackle, or at least slowing him down first before he stripped it. But, the other 2 or 3 defenders within 5 or 10 yards of it were kind of half-stepping over. And so when he loses his grip, the guys go off to the races. They don't have a chance to make a play. I just thought coming out of the half, you can't have guys not competing. I think they were a little shell-shocked in the second quarter. They got hit in some bad matchups. Clemson got rolling. But the way they came out in the second half, I thought there's a bunch of guys that I would be furious with on that team. And also in the first half, and you mentioned, I'm trying to kind of define what quitting is. You can make a case that not competing is quitting. And in the first quarter, FSU's offensive players, particularly the skilled players, just didn't compete. And if they had given the defense a chance, I think the game could have been a little bit different. But it was almost like they just were resigned to not be able to make a play, and dropping passes, not blocking anybody, and finally the defense kind of gave up.
When he says that two players, Zakondre White and Nooney Murray, are going to be suspended for a half, are you surprised that? Will you be surprised if Nooney Murray plays significant minutes in the second half?
You know, I probably would. To me, if this was if he's just speaking about these two guys, my guess is he would probably suspend them for longer. But I also think you kind of need to not set too many precedents, especially early in your tenure. And if he comes out and says, I'm suspending those guys for a game or 2 games, well, the next time somebody who you don't want to lose might do something dumb. And so I don't know if you want to go crazy with the laying down the law, but I would be surprised. I mean, look, Zakondre White's a role player, basically, redshirt freshman, is a talented kid, but he's kind of always been on the edge anyway. Nyquan Murray, you know, FSU's coaches have spent 4 years trying to get him to act right at all times, and he's played better recently. But you know, he's one bad glance from somebody on the other team from that happening again. So I would not play those guys very much these last 4 games, but you know, we'll see what Willie can do. I'm not surprised he didn't come out with a longer announced punishment, though, because, again, I just think it might set a bad precedent.
Well, and I also think that, let's say there are a handful of guys that you identify on film as not giving 100% or quitting. You know, you may not want to publicly scorn and shame them. You may want to do that internally and just decide, you know, I'm just not going to play them, but I don't have to tell the world and make it public and embarrass them at a press conference on a Monday. So we'll all be watching very closely moving forward whose playing time gets cut down, if not eliminated, and whose gets increased. Because I do think it's paramount now for Willie to send a message and to make it very, very clear that if you're not going to be part of the solution, then we're moving on from you, and we're going to go ahead and play the guys that have bought in and are working hard every day, and get the larger context here. Understand that commitment to organization and maintaining a level of focus and concentration and putting others above yourself and all the things we talk about associated with leadership and culture shift has to be in play now. You've got nothing left to lose. You might as well do it.
Oh, I agree 100%. And yeah, I'm with you. I've never expected him to say anybody's names today, so I'm not surprised he didn't. But he does have to do something, and I think some of it might be obvious. But I also think, you know, and I was kind of surprised. One thing that surprised me today in the press conference, I asked him about maybe playing more young guys, because I think a lot of people would like to see, you know, some young guys get more of a chance, and he kind of really dismissed it and said, we're not going to play young guys just to play, and we're going to play the guys that can help us win. Well, you know, any of those guys that haven't played at all, some like Christian Armstrong, a young offensive lineman, some of those guys that haven't played at all, if they play these last 4 games, they can still redshirt.
Right.
I would, you know, to me, there's always a balance for coaches at every level. You've got kids that sometimes your most talented kids are not always the kids that you can depend on the most. They're not always the most reliable. There's different shades of accountability. And sometimes you put up with more from guys that can help you win games, and sometimes you don't. But, you know, where this season is right now, I would, if I was, and it's easier for me to say, I'm not the one standing on the sideline on Saturday, but I would want to really make sure that anybody I put out there in this game, in these next couple of games, are guys I know exactly what they're going to give me, because I can coach that. I can prepare for that. I would not put out guys there that I'm just hoping that if things go well, they're going to do what they can do. So I would lean towards making more changes than less. But again, it's easy for all of us to say.
Yeah, I just think it goes, though, hand in hand with a guy trying to, and he's referenced it numerous times, if you're trying to install and maintain and build a culture, then you need to find guys that you can depend on who are going to show the work ethic you're talking about and can be relied upon to be committed, and the guys that demonstrate the kind of character you're looking for. And if you've seen signs that there are upperclassmen that aren't going to do that, there's no sense in playing them whatsoever.
No, I agree 100%. And really, at this point, you know, if I'm Willie Taggart, I don't know how much loyalty I have to some guys on this team. Now, the guys that have busted it, for sure, I'm with them. But there are some other guys that have played well in the past, but for whatever reason have not played very well this season. I'm not feeling real loyal to them right now, and I'm focused on going with the guys who are committed to the program. One thing I'm curious about, we didn't get to ask him, I am curious what the responses from the players were from some of those meetings and conversations. I wonder if any players came to him and either or to their position coach and either apologized or were contrite, or if some of those guys are a little bit kind of putting up their guard because of the way he spoke about the team. It was a little risky what he did after the game, talking about players quitting and all that. That's not something a lot of coaches want to do. So I am curious the responses, and we may not really know how it manifests until we see him on the field Saturday. But I'm curious how those guys responded to those messages.
It is risky, but it's also refreshing, right? I mean, we love to hear a coach be honest with us and reveal things and to be forthright. And it's okay to say things like he said in today's press conference. I know at one point he said, I think it was to your question, he may have even did it with Corey, where he said he wasn't comfortable answering a question or didn't want to at a certain point. I love that. That's fine. That's straightforward. And I think the reason that he approached the press conference the way that he did after an historic loss was that he was embarrassed, and that was his first reaction, and that he saw it. He saw the things we all saw, which was that there were guys maybe not giving 100%, guys laying down, guys who weren't competing. And so if you recognize it and you're willing to talk about it, to me, that's refreshing. Now you just got to follow up on it. It's very important. I know you wrote about that. It's going to define his time here. I mean, people that are bought in on this team, whether they be upperclassmen or certainly the younger players, are watching very closely right now to see whether or not you're a man of your word. If you're a man who's going to do something about, or you're going to walk it like you talk it, or you're going to do the things that you said you were going to do.
Yeah, I mean, and I also think that, and again, I touched on this a little bit, and I know other people feel the same way, is, we want to make sure that, his coaching staff can be held accountable as well, because there are a lot of mistakes. I heard a little bit of your guys' first hour, and, and you and Tom talking about, mistakes that we've been seeing all season. And some of them, a few of them went away when they were playing lesser competition, but as soon as they started playing better competition again, all of that stuff came right back up again. And, you want to know, and he gave a decent answer about it after the game, but we all don't know Willie Taggart yet. We don't know how he's going to handle these things. Going back to, the one coach that we've watched over the last, 10 to 12 years was Jimbo, basically running the program, even when he wasn't a head coach, and he was not a guy that was going to fire coaches. Well, Bobby Bowman's very loyal with assistant coaches, so people want to know, are these guys going to be held accountable as well? Because before anybody quit in that game, they were already getting blown out. So there's problems on this team beyond just players not having enough mental toughness.
Do you think some of this was born out of a rushed nature of putting together a staff while salvaging an early signing period group and trying to keep players and get players in, and then not being able to get guys that he was going to trust to come over from Oregon? Oregon ends up overpaying a couple of guys so that they don't have to start from scratch. And then he's left in an interview process. Everything is truncated. And some of these guys he's had to learn, and maybe he's not happy with everything that he's had to learn, or other things he had to settle on maybe. Do you think that's what's at play here to some extent, that those moves will be forthcoming this offseason? Because some of those guys he hired perhaps just because he had to fill the position.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible. You'd like to think that, he's a guy that was moving around a lot. He's been a head coach now for several years. You'd like to think he had a pretty good feel for who he might be able to get to a job at a place like Florida State. But certainly we know a couple of high-profile coaches that he wanted and didn't end up coming. So that may have put him on the 8 ball. And the timing was tough, without question. But at the end of the day, you knew when we looked at during the summer, when you took some time to look at this staff, I remember thinking, I'm sure other people did as well, that, okay, there's a lot of guys on this staff that haven't really done it at this level, which doesn't mean they can't do it, but that's where people are going to start looking if things don't go well. And then, not to call one guy out particularly, Alonzo Hampton, but this special teams group has been a disaster. And I know it's not all him. All the assistant coaches take different parts of special teams, even though there is a full-time guy. But that one segment has been just atrocious. And so now people are going to say, okay, well, what's that guy's track record? And then you look at it and you say, well, that's not probably a guy that, you would expect to be at Florida State right now in his career. So those are the questions, as we get to the end of the season and they finish up this recruiting class, that's where a lot of the focus is going to be from fans and media, and rightly so, because the play has been so bad on the field.
A lot of people have asked me this. I have an answer for it, but I want to hear yours. What would Willie Taggart have to do, him and his staff, have to do for the remainder of this season to win back over the percentage of this fan base? I don't know what that percentage is, 20, 30%, that have already washed their hands of him, that have already said, you know what, I've seen enough undisciplined football and repeated mistakes to say I don't think this guy's going to get it done. What would he have to do to show progress enough for them to say, okay, well, maybe, okay, I'll back off the throttle here for another year and see what we get next season?
To me, the magic elixir is beating Florida. That's if you can beat Florida, not that they're a great team, but that game means more to most fans. You already lost to Miami. If you can beat Florida, I think it gets people to back off a little bit going into the offseason, especially if you don't play a bowl game. If that's the last time they see you as beating Florida, I think at least it kind of gets people to back off a little bit. I'm not expecting them to win it. Notre Dame, for sure. I think this week's going to be a very tough situation when NC State's going to be very hungry after the way they've been playing. Boston College at home, maybe they can pull that one off, but that's not going to make anybody feel better if you beat BC but lose to Florida. So to me, the key really, playing better, but beating Florida would do a lot for him. If they lose to Florida, I don't know what else he can do in these next 3 games that's going to get any of those people back.
Tough year, man. Interesting year, too. Intriguing. I'll talk to you tomorrow, brother. Be well.
See you, Jeff. Thanks.
All right, take care. That's Ira Schoffel, warchant.com. Yeah, you do hesitate because you're not sure. Like, on the one hand, he referenced Alonzo Hampton, special teams coordinator. But a lot of people have their hands on special teams. And so you look there. You look at a guy like David Kelly. All right, David Kelly's wide receiver coach. That's what's next to his name. But he's also the recruiting coordinator. And by all accounts, everybody thought that was a good hire because of the recruiting aspect of what he does.
Yeah, well, he was going to be director of operations if everybody said yes to Willie.
That's right. So he really was never going to be back on the sidelines coaching kids day in and day out at the position, wide receiver in this case. That's not what he was going to do. Didn't want to do it. Had to be talked into it by Willie Taggart, who thought he could do it and had faith in him. Nobody had a problem with him being on this staff because of what he brought to the table as a director of football operations and a guy that could, be a recruiting coordinator, if you will. But, that clearly hasn't worked out well. I mean, those guys make more mistakes than almost any other segment not named special teams. I'm constantly looking at that group misaligned and confused and frustrated.
Well, they're misaligned, confused, but I don't know that they're guilty of all of our formation penalties. I think we have O-linemen that are lining up in the backfield as well. Now, we covered 6 again this weekend. Do I have that right? I do believe that I remember that penalty where we had an illegal man downfield.
We might have.
And it was number 6. So that would be another time we've done that. But I do think the formation stuff pre-snap is...
How many times are we going to do that? That's exactly what I'm talking about the fair criticism. Yeah. That's the stuff where you go, man, come on, man. Really? I remember the number one criticism by the time Jimbo was falling to pieces here, and that the number one thing I would see on Twitter or in my email inbox from fans was, as evidence that this was such a poorly coached team, we would use 2 timeouts in the first 3 minutes of a game. We would use 2 timeouts. We'd use a timeout out of a timeout. We'd use a timeout after a first down. We'd use a timeout, after a special teams play. We'd use a timeout. I mean, just constant evidence that they weren't organized, as we like to say. And that was fair. I always thought that was fair. I thought those were the details that were being overlooked, and that was evidence that things were falling through the cracks, and that's poor coaching. Attention to detail, at the very least, from the most organized organizations is evident. You may lose some games, you may not have the personnel, you may have to improve in areas in order to win the way you want to win, but the attention to details are evident. And you go, okay, they're buttoned up, they just got to get better players. They're buttoned up, they got to find their quarterback. They're buttoned up, but they don't, problem is we can't say they're buttoned up. It's evident they need better players. This offensive line is just a mess, a disaster. And that's not on him. But they're not buttoned up. So I can't say, well, listen, it's only this. No, it's not only that. It's also that they're not buttoned up. They're not ready to go each week. And that is a fair charge. And golly, it makes it tough because you want to say, well, listen, there's enough evidence in years past that this will all be right. There is. But when you see that every week, you go, well, I don't know. I just don't know. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Life of your vehicle and improve engine performance with Valvoline at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Well, hello, Eddie. It is always good to see you, sir.
Hey, look at you over here, Jeff.
Bumpus is a good place, and we got the news out there that you were opening Bumpus, but what they don't know, you got something different every day of the week, and now that the games are being played, there's a special for everything.
Oh, my goodness, Jeff. The specials we got during game times. We got 75-cent wings, $3 domestics, $5 craft drafts.
That's well done. $7 premiums, $3 wells. What do you got for, say, a Monday Night Football game?
Monday all day long, Jeff. We do a full rack of ribs special. Half rack, $8.95. Full rack, $12.95.
With a side.
With a side.
I saw it was written there. I had to say it. By the way, do you have something for a Tuesday?
Dude, Tuesday, Taco Tuesdays. Any tacos, $10 with a drink and a side.
It's a good deal. Anything
Wednesdays.
for Wednesdays?
Oh, my goodness. Wednesdays. What a Wednesday special. We got a burger and a beer for $12. And if you so choose, add a bourbon for $3.
Okay, so Bumpus has a lot of things going on for the games. Most importantly, those TVs, delicious food, and a special every day of the week. Bumpus!
Local 349.
Whether you're a professional athlete, casual player, or simply enjoy watching the game on those hard bleachers, any physical activity takes its toll on the body. Athletes require superior amounts of flexibility, speed, coordination, and strength to perform, and they know that treating aches and pains with their chiropractor early is critical to getting back into the game. At HealthSource, our goal is to keep you healthy and playing at the top of your game, whether it's professional sports or simply making it through the work week pain-free. Our team is dedicated to your health, but your aches and pains will never go away if you don't come in and see us. Give us a call today, 877-8980. HealthSource. Don't settle for just treatment. Let us care for you.
The devastation is unparalleled in our history. The massive damage, displacement, and loss of life are staggering. The recovery will be long and painful. Hurricane Michael has left its mark with us forever. Through it all, the remarkable devotion of utility service personnel, emergency management leaders, law enforcement and first responders, community relief organizations, and the hundreds of volunteers bringing aid and comfort to thousands of people here and across the region has been nothing less than heroic. It's hard to know how to express our gratitude, but right here, right now, this is our heartfelt word of thanks to all of you, our heroes. The men and women who have stepped up and remain determined to win this fight, and no doubt will go on caring and serving. Thank you. From Dr. Eve James and her entire staff at Southern Smiles Family Dentistry in Quincy, online at southernsmilesfl.com.
Thursdays are Friday Eve, and that's a reason to celebrate. No matter what you're looking for, they've got you covered every Thursday down in College Town. Centrale offers 50% off select pizzas all day, every Thursday. Or you can stop by Township for Taco Thursday. $2 house tacos, $2. Madison Social offers the Social Agreement. You and a buddy can split one order of wings, 2 Madso burgers, 2 bourbons, 2 proof Madison Socials, all for just $40. See what they did there? And don't worry about parking. Plenty of spaces available in the parking deck or surrounding lots. Check out all the Thursday College Town deals right now on ThursdaysInCollegetown.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. Big store pricing with local service. Online at ctf.nu.
Mom celebrated her 118th birthday. 118th, documented. Wow. It's crazy to think about, is it not? I mean, can you imagine? I mean, to be sitting there talking about, well, you know, I don't know, was that 30 years ago in my 80s? Was I? That's crazy.
Yeah, so she was pushing 20 years old at the end of World War I.
You know, so the ebbs and flows of a season, Tom, she's seen it all. She knows that things can go south in a hurry, and just like that, they too can be resurrected and restored to greatness.
I've seen 7 cycles of winning and losing for my favorite soccer club.
Yeah, she's I don't know what's big in Bolivia, and well, I know one thing that's big in Bolivia, but I don't know the sport necessarily.
Business is booming
in Bolivia, big time. Were you watching, as an aside note, that there was NFL football games this weekend? There was a World Series. There's all of those things. Hugh Jackson was fired today. There's no surprise there. Homeboy is 3-36 in his career in Cleveland. Good Christ.
Well, he was fired because he's blowing my quest for 8-8, you know, and that's why. No other reason.
He briefly scared me. I was like, where is he going here with this assessment of Hugh Jackson? But all these other things have occurred in the sports world, and there I was.
That would be the greatest way, most obscure way to leave Tallahassee radio, is to just say something absurd like that and say, all right, everybody, good luck with the rest of this era.
Have a good one, guys. Yeah. I was laughing about it. I thought, well, all right, that's going all in.
He's done. He's done. It's finally gotten to him. The Bucs not being any good in 15 years, plus 3 or 4 years of null struggles on top of the lost decade. He's done. He's checked out.
You had 11 ranked teams lose over the weekend. 7 new ones jump into the top 25. You've got the people behind the college football playoff selection process set to convene and make some announcement that no doubt will have us all scratching our head as of tomorrow. They should just have, when they put out the rankings, they should just say Alabama. Let that sit there. Although Clemson is about to make a case again, and I think that's a real good team, and it's only going to get better as he gets more seasoned and plays in games like this, because everything's on display there. Once it gets faster, once he gets a little bit more consistent, then it's all in play, because the kid's really good.
Yeah, we know the scouting report there is can he hit the shots downfield early in the game. That changed the scoreboard against Alabama, because they'll have man coverage, but Alabama's not going to be afraid.
No.
Man on man down the field. So can he make the throws to throw those kids open? Right now, the answer is no. But he's got another month to get used to the
and he's
system.
getting better all the time. They've played their 3 best games in a row now. I mean, they've gone and just destroyed.
We've had him off. We did have him off balance, though.
Early.
Yeah. And just the falling apart thing. And then they did the same thing Miami did a little bit, too. They kind of figured out,
They did. They figured out we can't cover them.
Yes.
Well, I don't know too many people that will, though. They're 6'4", 6'4", 6'4" to start.
Yeah.
That's a thing that's underrated with Clemson is big-ass receiver, big-ass receiver, big-ass receiver before you get down to a normal-sized guy.
Well, one of the early plays they hit was was it a freshman number 8 who makes that move on Myers? Yeah. I get it. That's not great coverage, but wow.
They got
That's
players.
what you got?
They got players,
smokes.
baby. They got players, and they got them for days. And until you start winning some big-time college football games, you're not going to be able to wrestle away the majority there. And they'll be favored to win the ACC for the next couple of years, 2 to 3 years minimum. But again, as you're devoid of hope here and you're saying, well, what do we do now? Well, look, it takes one great class, maybe one upset or surprise season to turn it all around. It happened for them. It can happen against them. It's happened for us. It's currently happening against us. I mean, we've watched it play out. But I said 11 ranked teams. 10 ranked teams suffered losses. 7 of them lost to unranked opponents, by the way. That was an interesting Saturday. They got over, it was largely overlooked by the fact that we were kind of hyper-focused on what happened early in the day. The day got off to such an ominous start. I'm not sure we took in everything else, right?
No, probably not. Probably lost focus a little bit.
Well, Washington fell, Texas A&M, Texas, Oregon, Wisconsin, South Florida, NC State, and on we go. Iowa, Florida, Stanford, they lost to at least ranked teams. But, yeah.
They lost focus as the day went along. Hard not to escape that.
You may have called it a day and said,
been guilty. Yep, a little guilty
well,
there.
but you've been so good lately, buddy. Plus, it's your birthday weekend.
Yeah.
You probably in your mind just said, well, between the two things, between it being my birthday weekend and this result, I'm just going to be here all day.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit.
It's not 2008 anymore. You learn things about yourself. And time does go on.
Did you catch any of the World Series last night? That'll be an indicator.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yesterday, nothing. Saturday.
No, I know, but usually the next day is for recovery.
I watched the whole World Series, and I stayed up to watch Sunday Night Football, which was a good game. Turnovers, man. That league is brutal with turnovers, changing the face of the game there in Minnesota.
By the way, I will say this, too. Baseball had what they needed last night. A game that's played in a reasonable period of time, and you're not up till 3 o'clock in the morning. You could watch the crowning moment, and it wasn't crazy late. It was like 11:15 or whatever it was. Yeah.
Just after the football game was over. So, absolutely. And you knew what was going to happen. And I wanted to see some of the fallout and some of the interviews because those are always cool moments when a champion is crowned. You know, in most sports, there's some I really can't care less about. But in this moment, Boston looks like they're having so much fun together, and you just want to see things about culture. Because those storylines, right?
Yeah.
They may apply here at some point.
Oh, they resonate. Culture and having the right kind of culture. Look at the New England Patriots. We get tired of banging our head against the wall about the New England Patriots and really all things Boston right now. But the truth of the matter is, in a salary cap league, the league is built in a way that should not allow you to ever dominate for much more than a few years. Because obviously teams that suck are rewarded with elite draft picks. You only have so much money to spend, so you cannot, be able to go out and grab all the best players at their respective positions because you have a really rich owner. No, it doesn't work that way. There's only so much money that can go around. So you ought not be what the New England Patriots are. How do you explain that? Culture. They've had a great quarterback and a great coach, but they've created a culture, and they've brought in guys. If you want proof of it, they bring in guys that are either not productive at other places or were considered knuckleheads and problematic players who get in line the second they walk through the door. Whether it's Corey Dillon or Randy Moss, you can go on down the list of guys that were, they're bringing that guy in. You don't ever hear a peep out of them when they're in New England. They all line up, fly straight, and kick ass because it's in the culture when they get there. They see it represented all around them about the way things are done from the janitor all the way up to the president. And that's what you're trying to build. And right now the Red Sox certainly have that as well.
They look like they're going to be there for a while. Sometimes it's false, and there are a lot of times, usually the runner-up in a championship series say, well, they'll be back, no problem. You can't always count on that. But if I was to guess about the Red Sox, I'd say yes. That team looks like it's got so much staying power, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and they were just there. I mean, they lost last year to the eventual World Series champion in Houston. But, I mean, they've been consistently really good. Meanwhile, the Dodgers are like, we could be back again to losing the World Series again. I mean, we're just steady losing in the World Series. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
This Day in Sports, brought to you by Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary. Get your history lesson weekdays at 5:30 during the Jeff Cameron Show, right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Looking for a new place to watch your favorite sporting events? Hobbit American Grill with 3 locations to choose from. Just show them your stub. That's right, your ticket stub from any local sporting event for $1 pints and $3 crafts. BOGO Mondays every Monday with 50% off specials. Like or follow on Facebook to get all the details. PS4 tourneys, trivia, karaoke, darts, and more. Lots of daily lunch specials under $8. Happy hour specials daily and happy hour all day on Friday. The Hobbit American Grill.
Fall is here. You know what that means, right?
Yeah, colder weather and yard work, like raking leaves.
But, fall is also the perfect time to get your energy audit from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. That way, you can be sure that your whole home is ready for the cooler weather.
I can't afford that.
Yes, you can. It is a free service. An energy auditor comes to your house at a time that is convenient for you, examines your structure, checks your energy and water systems, and then recommends changes that could save you energy energy, water, and money.
They do all that for free?
Yeah, to help customers even more, the city also offers installation grants and low-interest loans and rebates for Energy Star appliances.
Wow, you can really pile on the savings with the City of Tallahassee. I'm going to call City Utilities today at 891-4968 to schedule my free energy audit.
Oh, and don't forget to check out talgov.com for more information about all the ways the city can help you save energy, water, and money.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Makita cordless specials are heating up at Cornerstone Tool and Fastener in October. Buy a Makita brushless premium 5 amp hour kit with 2 batteries and get a 6 amp hour battery free. Plus, get your choice of the following: brushless recip saw, circular saw, half-inch impact drill, or a Bluetooth radio. Get rid of the gas with the Makita outdoor power equipment. Buy a brushless chainsaw or blower kit and receive 4 5 amp hour batteries and a dual bay chamber. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener with 2 locations to choose from: 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturdays 8 until noon.
O'Reilly.
Save on your next oil change with 5 quarts of Valvoline Max Life Motor Oil and a MicroGuard filter on sale now for the same price of Valvoline Conventional at $26.99. Extend the life of your vehicle and improve engine performance with Valvoline at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Time now for the Tampa Bay Lightning Report, brought to you locally by Township of Tallahassee.
The Tampa Bay Lightning concluded their season-long 5-game road trip with a 7-1 loss to the Arizona Coyotes on Saturday night. The Lightning finished the road swing with a 3-1-1 record. They're now 7-2-1 through 10 games to start the season. Tampa Bay lost in regulation on the road for the first time this season. John Cooper knows big picture, it was a very positive road trip.
You know, if this was the first game of the road trip and then we finished the rest, we probably wouldn't be talking like this. You know, as a group, you look back and say this is a 5-gamer. We got 7 out of 10. Big thing is to be interested to see, you know, how we respond, in our next one.
That next game is Tuesday night at home against the New Jersey Devils. The team did make a roster move yesterday. They recalled forward Danick Martel from Syracuse after he just completed his conditioning stint. In 4 games with the Crunch, he had 1 assist. With your Lightning Report, I'm Greg Linelli.
At Township in College Town, for the table, by the people is not just lip service, it's their mantra. Tallahassee's largest beer hall offers drafts served in steins plus a unique twist on upscale pub fare. Just walk up and order for the table and grab a seat by the people. Some you may not even know. If you're looking for a more intimate gathering, Township offers The Garden, a unique setting to Tallahassee complete with outdoor fireplace and a retractable awning. And let's not forget the 32 taps and a private bar. Book it for your next party or company event. Township Tallahassee, 619 Woodward Avenue in College Town.
Hi, this is Ed West, Capital City Bank Market President for Leon County. Just like we do for our hometown teams, the Eagles, Rattlers, and Seminoles, our bankers are rooting for you. With personal checking accounts that include a Visa debit card with chip technology and mobile banking access, we'll always have your back at home and on the road. At Capital City Bank, we're more than your bank. We're your bankers and your biggest fans. Visit ccbg.com/checking to open your account today.
Member FDIC. Message and data rates may apply. Ask a banker for details.
Ron White, live on tour.
If your eyes go bad, you can have LASIK surgery and they can give you 20/20 vision. But let me tell you something, folks. You can't fix stupid.
November 8th, Donald L. Tucker Civic Center. Tickets on sale now. Online at tuckerciviccenter.com or at the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center box office.
Thanks for playing.
Produced by AEG Presents for mature audiences.
Where did Zingooglies go? I've missed that place.
Zingales? It just opened back up in a new and non-smoking location on Appalachian Parkway, right next to Olive Garden.
Zingales is non-smoking now?
Zingales is non-smoking, so it's ideal for business meetings, birthday and grad parties, or game day get-togethers.
Sounds like Zingales has really stepped up its game.
Zingales, ma'am. All right? And it is big enough for 20 pool tables, duck pin bowling, darts, golden tee, and shuffleboard.
I guess it's time to go to...
Yes?
Zagamon's?
Singales, with everything from A to the Z.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Our pregame song. Just before the game kicks off, instead of inspiring, upbeat, hardcore music you get, go to bed now. I know the pain's coming on. And there he is. Big Daddy J walking through the door. Hands open wide, arms ready to hug. Point out the next selection on the card, because it's always about the next ticket. We're not cashing tickets these days, Tom. We're not cashing tickets indeed, but there are others out there to be identified who are.
Just regular water, Teddy, not Russian water.
Just regular water today, Teddy. But maybe by tonight that all changes. Not touching the Monday Night Football game. That's a big number. That's a hefty number. Look at the size of that.
I noticed that, obviously, Denver came back and covered against Kansas City, and Green Bay gave Los Angeles a good fight.
Oh, if you're a Green Bay fan, how angry are you? My goodness gracious. Weird ending to that game. Idiotic decision.
Going to take the kick out
and fumble.
Fumble it.
And not give the greatest quarterback in NFL history an opportunity.
Talked about this with
only needed a field goal.
Several people over the weekend, including you today. The 25-yard line is a big difference than the 20-yard line in making a decision to come out of the end zone.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of going ahead and taking that at the 25 and let's ride, unless you got like the human joystick back there or something, you know. And by the way, as it pertains to Florida State, never take it out, because there's no way that our special teams unit is going to do anything other than block in the back. So even if there is some amazing moment in which a returner makes requisite moves to free himself from the cluster and head to open field, he's dead in the water. Doesn't make a difference. Somebody quite clearly sized somebody up from behind, hey now, and took him out. That's what we do.
Take the opening kick, and we'll start at the 7-yard line. Awesome.
Every freaking week. Where's our first possession going to be? Inside the 10. Inside the 10 for 500, Alex. It's every time. God dog it.
Our opponents must love playing us. With the field position game, especially. Boy, there is no pressure here on 1st and 10.
Well, you don't do things, good teams don't consistently do the kinds of things that we see from Florida State on a regular basis. That's redundant and self-explanatory and a bit of an understatement. Everybody knows that. But when you watch it play out, again, you see it every weekend. It does lead to the second guessing. It does lead to the kinds of comments and quips you hear from people right now who are saying, I'm just not so sure.
Assuming that reps could be taken by either quarterback this week, would you still give James Blackman a look? Or would you go to DeAndre once again and just turn the keys over to him for the rest of the season? There's questions, it would seem, to that end.
You can play DeAndre right now. I mean, no, you can play James Blackman now. Well, he's gotten into games earlier this year.
I think he's been in 2, right? So.
Yeah.
I mean, is the success of James Blackman the quarterback in 2020 or 2021, is that really of paramount importance to the program?
You're correct. It's one of those things where I don't care. I'm playing them both. I'm playing everybody on this roster to get him out of here. If you're an upperclassman and I don't think you can play, you're out there. Play, and play some more. Moving on down the road, young man. I don't know. I it can't hurt to go to James at this point. I mean, what
I'm not saying
are we doing here?
That's what I'm asking. Wouldn't you want to get a better idea of putting something on film to see who your quarterback in 2019, would be if it's not going to be a true freshman?
Yeah, I keep getting the sense, it cracks me up when you'll hear people talk about it for a different reason. You'll hear some people say, well, this may very well be DeAndre's last year in Tallahassee. He's on pace to graduate, and he could either transfer or he could be eyeing the NFL. I'll hear announcers say that. I'll go, what?
Yeah.
What the hell league are you looking at, sir? They don't usually employ 6-foot quarterbacks with accuracy issues. No, that ain't going to happen. So, he may get a look on the bench somewhere and could start somewhere in Canada, but he's not. What are we doing? And I'm not trying to just dog the kid, but I'm just being honest about what he is. He's not an NFL quarterback.
I guess what I'm getting at is the performance this past weekend. Would it change your opinion? Or would you feel that James Blackman would deserve some time anyway, regardless of what happened this weekend?
I'd go to James Blackman.
Okay.
I don't think DeAndre's going to be running this offense next year. He's also taken all the beating he needs to take. Thank you for your time, sir. If we need you, in a pinch, we'll throw you back out there. You may lose him. You may have already lost him. I don't know.
With the beating, yeah, that's
Yeah, he looked like he was seeing some ghosts from the jump on Saturday. By the way, sometimes it happens later in the day when you're watching a game with him, and I can't blame him for that a lot of times. I mean, when he takes a beating.
No, that's not his fault, the ghost scene. I mean,
Yeah.
you wish he wouldn't, but that he's made it as far as he has without consistently doing so, that's pretty incredible. Speaks to toughness and a willingness to accept pain to make a play. He's got that in spades.
How about the entire state losing their ass this weekend? My goodness gracious. So Florida loses, Miami loses, Florida State loses, the Dolphins lose, the Bucks lose, the Jags lose, the whole state, just a giant L. USF lost. UCF's like, I'm right here.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I'm right here.
USF did get pasted that number. Vegas had that one right.
Yeah. Well,
why is USF ranked and Houston isn't?
Yeah, and we were saying it on Thursday. I was like, oh, this is an easy one. Yeah, but, I mean, again, it was sort of a, what a weekend for the state.
If you were playing a team from Florida this weekend.
You won.
This must be my damn fucking lucky day.
It felt that. I mean, and it wasn't, I mean, it was ugly. The Dolphins got trounced.
Georgia was dilly-dallying there for a minute, but then they got it together.
My Pillow, friends. You're in need of a good night's sleep, so might I suggest My Pillow. It's a comfortable pillow. It's reasonably priced. It's got a hell of a money-back guarantee. They've extended the money back and the warranty and all that all the way into March. I like the pillow, and that's why I tell you about it. At first, I just told you about it because they paid me to tell you about it. But then I really realized I like that pillow. I sleep on that pillow every night. I do, and so does my wife. You can too. If you're in need of a good pillow, I would suggest to you get My Pillow. Go to mypillow.com. Make sure you use the promo code when you do, 979ESPN. mypillow.com. Go there, get it done.
More excited this weekend to watch Ryan Fitzpatrick against the Carolina Panthers or potentially either quarterback, but let's just say James Blackman against NC State.
James Blackman against NC State. I'm not excited to watch the Bucks do damn anything. I mean, first of all, I'll root for Fitzpatrick. He's fun to watch. What a great story. He came in and was electrifying, and that's cool. Bucks aren't going anywhere, and he's not the quarterback of the future. I'm concerned that Jameis isn't either at this point, but, I mean, so we're just stuck. There we are in limbo.
I think you could argue the Knowles aren't going anywhere and James isn't the quarterback of the future. You got similar circumstances
I'm
here.
much more invested in a first-year head coach at my university than I am the jersey of a team in Tampa that couldn't care less if I watched him or not.
Well, this is true, but the offense in Tampa is fun to watch. There's the difference.
Can be. Defense isn't. It's enough to make you cry every time you see him. We just have glaring weaknesses.
We do, but didn't they throw up a 0 until the final drive in the second half? I think they did.
I don't know how.
The guy we stopped the run. I don't know how he did it.
Yeah, because in the first half we gave up over 120 yards rushing to Joe Mixon.
Like the famous game in 2010.
They also kind of stopped giving it to Joe Mixon some too. I was sitting there going, "What are you doing, sir? This is why you lose playoff games every year. What are you doing?" Buy one, get one free special if you go to MyPillow.com. 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com. Click the buy one, get one free special. Enter the promo code 979-ESPN. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. And I'm not going to break. I thought I was. I thought I was going to break, but then I realized my producer was scrambling and panicking and saying, Duke can't go to break yet. You're too early. You gave up on me, Cameron, just like the Noles did in the second half of the game against Clemson. On a serious note, though, that situation in Tampa, and I did touch on this before in quick passing, but I'll say it again. No, there's the difference between the Jameis throwing picks now and the Jameis who made poor decisions in the past is that the Jameis making poor decisions in the past was also making plays and didn't have a crisis of confidence. So what you would see is almost a little bit like that performance against the Falcons in his first game back. 395 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 10 unbelievable throws that very few people can make, and 2 picks. So you would go, well, very Brett Favre-like, where you're making a bunch of plays, you're certainly not afraid, you put your team in a position to win a game. The current Jameis Winston doesn't believe in what he's seeing, is throwing picks, forcing plays, and doesn't look like he believes in himself. And that's a huge difference. It's why you can't play him right now. You have to start Fitzpatrick. And the problem is, how do you get him right? I mean, it's a sorry, sad sap organization in Tampa Bay, poorly run. The head coach is afraid of his own shadow. He's not going to instill confidence in him. So what do? How do you get him right? The only way it can play out, Tom, is, and you and I have talked about this off the air, is if Fitz goes in and struggles and then Jameis comes in and saves him off the bench. But even still, I mean, that's a no-pressure situation.
The problem is, I think whatever they scouted this week, they didn't scout it correctly, or Cincinnati just completely mixed up what they were doing. Because if you watch the first half of this game, and I get it bleeds over from Cleveland for Jameis because
he looked like it when he threw the pick in the overtime there.
Right.
It's a good thing they
Which
made the 59-yard kick.
Which was not his fault because the receiver ran coverage into it,
but
it doesn't matter.
It still spooked him. You could see it on his face. He makes it abundantly clear when he's shook.
Yeah, he doesn't have a poker face.
No.
Jimbo Fisher.
He's shook.
Same thing.
Yep.
But whatever his first read was for the entirety of the first half, he came off it. So I think he was assuming some things would be there that weren't, and then I think after that he starts guessing. You can't guess in the NFL. That would get you killed, and it did.
Oh, man, it's an incomplete story, and now you're running out of time, though. They have a bad deal at hand. Hey, that's more fuel to the fire. Go ahead. Burn it down, baby. All my teams, just burn it down.
This must be my damn lucky day.
We'll gather ourselves. This time around, we are going to break. And this time around, I'll come back and we'll reassess our situation. Recap for those of you that have missed the majority of the day. Florida State Clemson disaster on tap. Hang in. See what you got to look forward to. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Eat, sleep, fish. Mike's Marine Supply and Skeeter Boats want to get you out on the open water. They're your local Skeeter dealer, custom rigged with the Yamaha outboards. Stocked with a full line of Skeeter boats from the Bass to the Saltwater Bay Series, Skeeter has been recognized for 18 consecutive years as the leader in customer satisfaction for fiberglass outboard boats. Check in at Mike's Marine Supply for the spring specials starting soon. Located at 1296 Coastal Highway, Panacea, Florida, call Mike's Marine at 984-5637. Online at mikesmarinetallahassee.com.
Headed to the new Gordos, cause Eddie hit a home run just like the old Gordos. Ooh.
Jeff, I'm sitting right here, man. Why do you always speak about me in the third person?
Loving the new Gordos.
You gotta quit singing, man.
Got the outside deck. When the weather shifts, I'm gonna sit outside at the new Gordos.
Are we ever gonna get there? Can you speed up, please?
Lots of TVs.
1460 Market Street.
Woohoo.
Pros in the know start with Lowe's, because at Lowe's, pros save on tools they rely on to get the job done. Now get up to 35% off select DeWalt power tools and accessories, including the DeWalt 10-tool 20-volt cordless combo kit, now $529. That's $320 off. Plus, save 5% on eligible purchases every day when you use your Lowe's Business Credit account. So, pro, now that you know, start with Lowe's. DeWalt offer valid through 11/4 while supplies last. Credit offer subject to credit approval. Can't be combined with other credit offers. Exclusions apply. U.S. only.
With football season in full swing, don't forget about fishing our local waterways after the games. Fish are still biting regardless of the score. Sea Quarters Marina, Carabel, Florida. Open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The marina has a ship store, which includes fuel, bait, tackle, ice, and all of your fishing supplies for the trip. Both diesel and non-ethanol fuel is available. Free Wi-Fi and pump out with boat slip rental. Sea Quarters Marina, 501 St. James Avenue, Carabel, Florida, 697-8400. Visit them online at seaquartersmarina.com.
Hey guys, is it time to get your hair in the game?
Time to claim your spot!
Then it's time to check in online at sportclips.com/check-in for a fresh cut, legendary hot steam towel and massaging shampoo. So do your hair a favor by checking in online and arrive just in time for your Sport Clips MVP haircut experience while you surround yourself with sports on TV. Get in line online at sportclips.com/check-in.
Time to claim your spot!
At Sport Clips Haircuts, we're on a mission to help our veterans with their education. In 2013, we established the VFW Sport Clips Help a Hero Scholarship Program. With the help of your generous donations, we've raised nearly $5 million and awarded more than 1,000 scholarships across the country. Visit Sport Clips today and help a hero. And on Veterans Day, November 11th, Sport Clips will donate an additional $1 for every haircut we give. Help us continue this honorable mission.
Did you know that propane-powered clothes dryers outperform electric models in energy efficiency, drying time, and garment protection? So dry your clothes more efficiently with propane. Propane water heaters give you more hot water at a more affordable price. Compared to electric, energy-efficient propane water heaters can reduce your energy costs significantly. For more information, call AmeriGas Propane here in Tallahassee at 877-1122.
Working on the car, huh?
Yeah, it's been stalling.
It could be friction from your floor mats.
No.
Oil change too? Better change your oil fuses.
Nice try. Hand me that Purolator Boss filter.
Wow. Protects up to 15,000 miles?
Right. Nothing gets by Purolator. Or me.
Great. Now let's demagnetize those floor mats.
This is sad now.
Now get a Purolator Boss premium oil filter and 5 quarts of synthetic oils for $32.99 at Advance Auto Parts. See store for details.
The Florida State basketball team has the best record in the nation at home the last 2 years.
Three-point shot, it's good again!
The Tucker Center is a house of horrors for opponents. Don't miss the best ticket in town, the ACC Pack. Come see the nation's best basketball right here in Tallahassee for as low as $99. The Noles host Duke, Notre Dame, Miami, Louisville, and more inside the Tucker Center. College basketball is taking the capital city by storm. Don't get left out. Purchase your ACC Pack today. Call 888-FSU-NOLE or visit Seminoles.com today.
Career Source Capital Region.
Career Source Capital Region invites you to Paychecks for Patriots, a hiring fair dedicated to veterans, active military, and their families, Thursday, November 15th at the FSU Turnbull Conference Center. Veterans will have exclusive access to employers beginning at 9 a.m., but all are welcome starting at 10 a.m. Learn more and register today at CareerSourceCapitalRegion.com.
Driving every day from the AmeriGas studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. The Browns are starting over again. The team fired head coach Hugh Jackson and offensive coordinator Todd Haley. There were rumblings the relationship between the two had deteriorated to the point a move might have to be made. Since 2016 under Jackson, the Browns 36-1, and were last in the league in several categories, including offensive efficiency and points per game. The firings, not surprising, says ESPN's Tim Hasselbeck.
And even though they've added probably better talent onto that football team than has been there the last couple of years, they just didn't appear to be a team that was improving, to be honest with you, when you watch them. And I think you could be certainly critical of the offensive side of the ball, which is Hugh Jackson's background.
Browns have named defensive coordinator Greg Williams their interim coach. The Bills and Patriots cap off Week 8 on Monday Night Football, 8:15 Eastern, ESPN TV and the ESPN app. New England's won 31 of the last 35 meetings. Tom Brady 28-3 all-time versus Buffalo. After missing the last game with back and ankle injuries, Pat's tight end Rob Gronkowski is expected to play. NBA, Toronto's Kawhi Leonard and Milwaukee's Giannis Antetokounmpo will both miss tonight's showdown of 6-0 teams. Raptors are resting Leonard, while Giannis is in the concussion protocol and will not play. Pelicans will be without Anthony Davis a second straight game against the Nuggets tonight because of a sprained elbow. ESPN's Brian Windhorst and Adrian Wojnarowski reporting Cavaliers forward Kevin Love could be sidelined over a month with an injured left toe. NHL Maple Leafs star Austin Matthews expected to miss at least 4 weeks with a shoulder injury. Matthews told reporters he does not need surgery on that shoulder. And the Red Sox have scheduled their World Series championship parade for Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. There's a lot of stuff going on today. Goodness gracious. If you missed any of it, you're going to want to catch up. All 3 hours posted upon the conclusion of the show, so in an hour. We'll put it up on iTunes, and we'll throw it up in the audio vault as well on the webpage. You can email us if you want. It's jcs@979espnradio.com. You can always find me on Twitter at @JCameronShow. I was relatively absent from social media this weekend. I know. You're just devastated. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. And, I think that's right. jcs@979espnradio.com. A lot of emails came in. A lot of good ones. A lot of crazy ones, but a lot of good ones. And that's fine, too. That kind of matches the temperament of this fan base currently. Some that are in control of their emotions, that don't let their frustrations get the best of them in a way that allows for them to say crazy things. Oh, I heard some crazy this weekend in the Champions Club.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah. Lots of crazies out there right now, Tom. Lots of crazy. Matches our political climate. Lots of crazy everywhere. You don't have to look around very long to find crazy. It's all around you. Today I cracked up. I went by Publix this morning to make sure that I ate well today. I wanted to make sure I was eating pretty decently, and I needed to get some things. And I saw these two ladies screaming at each other over a parking space at the Publix at 10 a.m. on a Monday.
Really?
Well, here we go. Yeah, I thought they were going to go. It was nuts. Publix employee had to come out.
Oh, what?
Yes.
Over a parking space.
Well, the person wasn't backing out of the space in a timely fashion, according to the other. I don't know. People are just angry.
I was going to say, usually these things are kind of one-way, head-in kind of parking, you know?
It's just,
so I was wondering, how could two people...
No, one was backing up, and that person was frustrated by their... Yeah. So, I don't know. Don't know what to say. Crazy time for the culture. Speaking of which, let's segue right to it. It's a buzzword these days, but it is important. It's something that Willie Taggart is in the midst of trying to fix, right? And that comes up an awful lot. And I got thoughts on all of that because it's true. As a coach or a leader of any kind, you're obviously you have a responsibility to install and drive and maintain culture. You got to do that. And it's easier said than done, I think. I think it's something that once you lose, it's hard to get back. And I think we're at the crossroads of all of that right now. We're at the intersection of what happened a year ago and what is happening now. And it doesn't absolve this coach and his staff for the poor job they're doing this year. It certainly is part of the problem. It's one of the things they're trying to overcome because of what was lost under the previous regime. But again, there's a lot of blame to go around here. But I know this. I mean, you don't get a pass for having to call timeouts after a first punt return. You don't get a pass for having guys that still can't line up properly. That's on you and your staff. And the anger that people feel about that, the frustration, that's a better way of phrasing it, the frustration and the disappointment, and that's really what we're dealing with here, is profound disappointment I think is legitimate. I think you can be disappointed. I have never said at any point this year that despite my support for Willie Taggart, which I still have, that you don't have a right to be incredibly disappointed or concerned about certain things that you see. I mean, this has been an ongoing conversation that you and I have. Like, what level of concern is justified as opposed to what is left over anger and resentment from previous failures? And is that being heaped upon the new group? But then what responsibility does the new group have to this year and this cause and these problems? And, I mean, this is where we're at as a fan base, and all of it adds up to a bunch of losses and a program that's not where it needs to be. And that leads to very real frustration and anger and disappointment and sadness, especially when it's exhibited by the rival in your division, resoundingly so. 59-10 is something to take home and ponder. That's something to kind of get you to thinking about where are we at, because there are some things that you look out there and you see repeatedly and you go, well, that's not the fault of Jimbo Fisher or anybody on his staff. Either we're coaching it or condoning it. This ridiculous, can't get lined up and behavior we see from players at times, right? Either you're coaching it or you're condoning it. So something's going on here that has to be rectified from this staff. And it reminds me, in this particular case, and we talked about this earlier in the show, of the way it was when I would watch those Miami teams for all those years. What was it we knew about them? We knew that when things got tough, they were going to quit. And they did it across coaches because the previous coach failed, but the kids were left over. And the new coach would come in and he'd try to get it turned around. And the first time that they met disappointment, the first time that they had to deal with adversity, they laid down. It was a stamp. It was who they were. And we knew it. And we loved it. We reveled in it. We thought, look at those losers. Because that's what they were. But you can say that about us right now. You can say that about Florida State football right now, and you're right. And so the task at hand is monumental. How quickly can you get that culture shifted to the right direction to where guys take pride in their effort, both as an individual and as the greater entity? They look around, they see, they know this is part of the change we're seeking. This is how it's done. This is an example. It's the right way to do it. Even if we're not getting the results right now, here's how we do things, because down the line that matters. And that's what they have at places like New England in the NFL. It explains how in a salary cap league, you can go 20 years of just whooping ass, because it doesn't matter that people come and go, but there are certain key fixtures in place. There is a way of doing things. And you promote those things at all time. And you have self-control, and especially you have that self-control under pressure and when it's required the most. And you have the ability to rise up and meet adversity because there's a culture in place that allows you to do that. We don't have it. We're not there. This was a huge step backwards. Physically, Clemson has better players. We would have lost the game. We knew that. What my frustration, or where my frustration stems from, isn't the result. I picked 41-10 or whatever I did on the War Chant Report, and 38-13 or whatever I did. I don't even remember, but I knew it was going to be ass-kicking. It was always going to be an ass-kicking. We're not good enough. We can't block them, so it was never going to be a game. Not over 4 quarters. You can't sustain drives, you can't score, you can't win, you get worn down. That was always going to happen. But then we play stupid and we do really, really silly things that reveal that most of the players, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's not true. Some of the players put themselves over the team. Some of the players reveal the kind of selfishness that suggests that you do not have your culture in place. It's not where it needs to be. Their priorities, some of these guys that I think should sit, and hopefully Willie will sit, and some of which we heard today in his press conference will sit, are promoting their own agenda, promoting what's best for them and not what's best for the greater good for this program, this university, this football team, and their teammates. They put their own welfare ahead of everybody else. And, that's the hard part here. Before I make a blanket statement and say screw them eternally and all that other stuff, I get that they feel betrayed too, because they were betrayed just a year ago, maybe longer, whenever it was that promissory notes had to be signed in the midst of another sorry-ass campaign. But the point would be that whether or not that's something that, they should have to shoulder all of the blame for, or does it reveal their character or lack there? Doesn't matter. because the new guy has a job at hand. And if he can't get those guys to be on board with the way they're going to do things moving forward and the way that some of the younger guys are bought in, or even an older guy like Brian Burns who's bought in, then they got to sit. They can't play. They can't be a part of it. And you know what? Pack your bags, baby. You want to quit? Get the hell up out of here. I'll play with 50. I'll play with 40. I don't care. But at least I'll know they want to do things the right way, and they're here to do things the right way. And from there, you got to coach them up. You got to get them right. And if you got guys on your staff who can't do that, they got to be fired. And I think there's some guys on this staff that aren't doing their job, period. I'm sure they're trying hard. I'm sure they're doing their best, but their best isn't good enough. You're going to have to let them go. They suck. They're letting you down. Who's ever coaching special teams, who's ever charged, tasked with the responsibility, and I'm talking about intimate details. I know the names of the coaches of the different segments, but you have to identify as a head coach who's responsible for what and where is this disconnect? What is not getting through here? Why is it we still make these mistakes? And you got to make changes. So the rest of this season is an awful lot about what does Willie do to correct this culture, correct what's going on in the locker room, correct the problems he sees from those either not giving the effort necessary or those who are trying but aren't being taught properly. What does he do within the staff? What does he do with his personnel?
I think over the weekend and even into today, maybe your morning commute, your lunch break, or hell, when you should be doing work, you're thinking about this football program and how to evaluate what we just watched, obviously. And for me, I go back and forth. The beginning of the game, the first quarter, there are plays that are there to be made that we don't. There's a game in there where I think drive for drive, we're there with Clemson. We're fighting with them. And you could actually have a 3 or 7 point lead at some point early in the second quarter. But we shoot ourselves in the foot on 3 or 4 blatant occasions.
We do it a lot, though.
We do it, this is where I'm going. So from one standpoint, I look at that and I say the game plan was sound. We had something for them on defense. We had something for them on offense. But why aren't they focused and able to execute very simple things in wide open moments in the case of some of the wide receivers, right?
Oh, dropping balls is not on coaching, right?
Well, but at some point, you got to ask yourself the larger question. If that's a lack of focus or it's a lack of confidence.
Could be the latter, sure.
Yeah, at what point do you have to remove that player from the situation? And at what point are you responsible for repeated mistakes of that kind?
Yeah, you're not going to bench Cam Akers for dropping that pass in the flats.
No.
You're not going to. I mean, I get it.
Keith Gavin's dropped a lot of passes.
I don't disagree with that. That's
There's also situations, again, in the first and second quarter, if you look at it, basic counting principles, where we choose the wrong half of the field, and you just wonder, is this the guy you want to ride or die with at quarterback?
No, it's not. I don't think it is, no.
That doesn't mean that he quit. I don't know that he quit. I just think he played poorly. After he was let down by his receivers, making some good throws early, I think he was affected. Moreover, he took a lot of hits, which he knew were coming, but still, he started to see ghosts. So it's just this hard mess. It's a tangled web, and you can't isolate one thing. So for me, the larger question I'm asking as we move forward is from what he wanted to do, from what Willie Taggart wanted to do when he got here, you talk about all of the things he did to bring this team together. I mean, they went to camp, fall camp.
Oh, you cannot fault the effort.
Off campus.
Yeah, certainly.
Right. But he failed in that regard. To repair the culture to the point you take the quitting out of this roster.
Yeah, that quitting began against Louisville a couple of years ago. We saw it again against Boston College last year, and we saw it again on Saturday from a handful. I don't think it's everybody, but certainly there are some guys left over from that group that continue to exhibit that. You're right.
But the question I have about that is,
how long does it take?
Well, is it in these kids' nature? Is it something that came from a lack of development and betrayal from the previous staff?
I think lack of development is fair to say, yes.
Or, I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be binary, or is it in these kids' nature? I mean, Willie was willing to say in the post-game press conference that when you recruit, you got to figure out what kind of kids you're bringing in.
Okay.
So, but I don't know that the answer is all on players or all on Jimbo or all on Willie currently. What I'm saying is I'm trying to make sense of if he was unable to bring this group together to fight through adversity after painstaking measures, does that mean that he's not the right guy, or does that mean that these players have something inside of them that we were never going to get along with anyway.
No, I don't think it's inherent in any of those guys to quit necessarily. People would argue about that. We can get into behavioralism and all that good stuff, but I don't think that any of these competitors wanted to quit. They were betrayed at one time, and that's still now in them because of it resonates from before, right? But
there's
that's
blame
it.
to go everywhere.
Yeah,
but I'm just trying to figure out what does that mean moving forward in terms of flipping this thing around, because all of these attempts fell short. Here we are again, same kind of problem we had from BC and Louisville and others.
There's a direct correlation between details and your attention to details and improvement. There's always, when you look at any leadership structure or all of those buzzwords we talk about with culture, right? If you look at anybody's lists, they're always talking about the attention to detail. They'll talk about relentlessly pursuing those kinds of things, because that's where learning takes place, when you do it over and over and over and over again. And those are the areas where I see problems that currently have me upset with Willie Taggart and his staff. A lot of that other stuff on the periphery that we talk about that are also troubling aspects of what this team is and would hinder their growth, such as the greater culture. Those are things that you can go ahead and point a finger at the previous regime. So that's where these two get married, where you say, well, man, he inherited a mess, but at some point you take responsibility for that. You're being paid handsomely to flip that, and you got to do better.
It's going to be November of 2018 in just a few days.
This season's lost. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing good is going to happen the remainder of the season as it pertains to flipping it. Like getting this team to start winning games against really good teams ain't going to happen because you're not good enough up front, and you got real problems on your hands now that you're going to have to sit some people and play real young guys who are prone to make mistakes. But at least they'll be making them at full speed, and they're trying.
If trying wasn't an issue out of this game, and if there wasn't a clear sense of shutting down, and I don't mean, so Willie said today repeatedly at his press conference, the word handful when it comes to players that weren't giving effort.
I think he's looking at 5 to 7 guys total, and he probably closer to 5.
Those are the leaders of the pack in that regard, but shutting down isn't the same. I mean, there are degrees here, right? And you can be affected negatively by the actions of a teammate. That can still affect your morale and the way you play. For me, watching the game through the first 20 minutes, I was more buoyed than anything else about, okay, I'm not saying we're better than Clemson. We're not.
We're not close.
I get that. But if we were still in a football game and we had a chance to be ahead at that point of the football game, which to me, given the way I thought the offensive line, defensive line battle was going to go, I didn't think there was much of a chance of that happening without turnovers, without generating turnovers and short fields. And we actually got one on a shank punt. Doesn't count as actually a pick or a fumble,
right?
But you start at the plus 49-yard line. The first pass is to a wide-open Nooney Murray. It hits him in the chest.
And he drops it,
And he drops the ball. Well, you got a chance to put points on the board right there and grab momentum. I didn't know that was necessarily possible, but I was really proud of the way we came out and began this game. It's the exact opposite of Wake Forest. That first quarter was atrocious. And in this game, I thought the coaches had us all lined up and ready to go. And that gave me hope. It gives me hope moving forward for the Notre Dame game or NC State this weekend. But the problem is morale that much bigger of a problem that it's going to undercut the reality that we're not as far away as we could be.
Yeah, well, listen, all of this muddies the water to try to define clearly our terms about where this thing is. You know, if you ask the irrational fan who's livid and beyond reproach at this point, you can't talk to them. You can't walk up to them and have a conversation. You can't say anything to them that will have them, weigh in balance all of these issues and kind of try to decide how to apply them and how much is this worth and how much is this worth and where do we got to go from here. Listen. So when you see a guy loafing and you go, look, they've quit, and once they've quit, you can't have them on the field, and that's a direct reflection of the coach. Okay, well, we said the exact same thing during the North Carolina game when we saw guys jogging, and they lost that game in the waning seconds on a field goal, right? We said it. And it was a problem, and it's still a problem. And those kids that were on that team are on this team.
Yeah.
You have some of those guys that remain. That was all part of that group.
IOUs, effort IOUs, yeah.
Yeah. He's got to start from scratch, but he's also got to look inward as to why some of the attention to detail here is still not cleaned up. And that matters. The details matter greatly because, again, the margin between winning and losing in big-time college football between teams that recruit at that level is very thin. We know that just from watching games over the course of years. I mean, it doesn't take much for things to spiral the wrong way and for you to be on the wrong end of an ass-kicking. Dabo Swinney's doing an incredible job with Clemson. They got 77 hung on them by West Virginia in the Orange Bowl. They got 51 hung on them at home by us in their backyard on a night where they were about to celebrate the loudest, they'd ever made it.
They were preseason ACC champions, in terms of the media poll, and they had the big win over Georgia that first week. It was a coronation for them. At least that's what their fans thought that night.
Right, but you've got some guys on this team that don't demonstrate good character, and I think they're poisoning the well. And then you've got a lack of attention to details in certain areas. When I would look at my notes, I jotted a gazillion of them during this game. I mean, you have to, again, find the connection between details and improvement. And if you are not showing me the attention to detail, we will not get the improvement. That's what has to happen. And that's relentless. That is at all times. And if that were happening right now, we wouldn't see these sorts of issues, alignment issues, timeouts out of all this stuff that we see that we just go, the special teams garbage in general, week to week. So there's more than enough blame to go around. There's more than enough time. I mean, nobody's going anywhere. Certainly not the head coach. But you've got to, I think, and what you do here is very important. The message you send the rest of the way to the young guys that have bought in, who do believe in you, who have certainly bought in hook, line, and sinker. This is all of great importance now because they're watching. Most of them are freshmen and sophomore, or redshirt sophomore, or redshirt freshmen, or true sophomore. Marvin Wilson's a great player. He's a guy that is going to be a leader for this team. He's watching you very carefully. He bought in. He's all aboard, clearly out there making tackles in the backfield, down 48 points, 49 points. Doesn't matter. He's fighting, right? So that guy's looking at you going, come on, man. I want to lead. Give me a chance to lead. And, oh, by the way, these jokers over here that are refusing to buy in and don't play hard and don't have an attention to detail and don't make greater sacrifices for the commitment to the organization that we need, they got to go.
So I was even saying this on Saturday. The thing I was most angry about that was Minor. It just really bothered me. Mm-hmm. If we can be just, kind of fun, angry fans for a moment. So they go in third down and they bring in their jumbo package, right? And it's Christian Wilkins and Dexter Lawrence and all that. We have a chance to substitute because they do. We can't get Cooper or Marvin Wilson out there on that play. I mean, I'm not really mad at the defense. They came out with a plan. They covered well early on. Lawrence did not start well in this game. He looked very much like the freshman we needed him to be. He was missing some throws down the field. Mm-hmm. That is his reputation. A couple of throws that even one of the touchdown throws, if it's to the back pylon, it's a laugher, but it was close because he underthrew the ball. So he didn't start out perfect, but he got into a rhythm.
And then, boy, did he.
So I'm not really mad at the defense necessarily, but there was that one moment, damn it, man, they're bringing in 800 pounds of people. And we can't put Big Coop out there and Marvin? You're going to get Fred Jones and DeMarcus Christmas blowing up the middle?
It's weird, too, by the way, when you get into the details of the game, you can second-guess certain play calls and personnel decisions and choices in terms of
I'm just having a lighthearted moment there.
No, you are. No, but what I'm saying is, and this allows me to say it because I can segue off of what you just said. In a game, any game, with our pro teams, college teams, it doesn't matter. You can be watching your favorite high school team. You have questions, and we as fans love it because it when you watch a baseball game, you can second guess the manager. We all second guess 11, or when you go to the bullpen, or whatever it might be. And you can do that in any football game too. Like, hey, guys, I'm not so sure this is the right matchup here. We have the wrong personnel to run that play, whatever it might be. But this was really not a testament to that, right? This was much more a testament to Clemson has better players and a better culture, and it shows. And the second you give them a window, they hammer you.
Well, and it's the culture part to me more than anything else.
It's the biggest part of this.
You're on your way to acquitting yourself well in that second quarter. I mean, even with all the mistakes we made up to that point of the fourth down penalty for running into the kicker, roughing the kicker, you're on your way to playing your hearts out. And even if you come up short, I think a lot of Noles would walk out of that stadium with their heads held high. But then something terrible happened after that.
Yeah, and I think, too, that one of the things that, we continue to look at, you have early opportunities, then there's a meltdown. The thing I hated that really revealed the lack of culture and toughness and, the kind of intense focus and intensity you need to be locked in for the entirety of a game and deal with adversity is that all those things are true about the first quarter. And then you rough the kicker, and it's Katie bar the door. So the first time that you meet adversity, you fold. You just fold for the first time that something goes awry and allows them to score a touchdown. Now we're done? We're just done here?
Well, I think it was the way the bench probably felt it was the culmination of a lot of things, especially on that offense. Because you got to consider you have several drops by key players that are quote-unquote leaders, right, of that side. You got offensive linemen turning some guys loose, which was expected, but it was that classic case of a different player on every play making a different mistake. If Cam drops a ball or Gavin or, DeAndre misses a throw that first third down, either that or Nooney didn't run the right route on that first third down. Everybody took a turn, so they are already feeling that here we go again mentality, and then, boom, they look on the field, and what do they see? A special teams blunder, and then it's 7-0. So I think for the players, they might have felt more like it was a culmination, and that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. But from the fan, I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying
incredibly weak.
We stacked a lot of errors out there in the first quarter plus, where we could have been ahead in this game. Doesn't mean we're going to win, but it means we were going to get the effort that we were hoping for, which is something to be proud of.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, it would have been proud, but okay, it happens, and you're down 7-0, and we're just done with all that. We're just, there were a lot of mistakes there, guys. I mean, that's just pitiful. And Willie's got to be embarrassed by that, and I think he is. He said so, actually. That's just ridiculous. Sometimes you play poorly. Sometimes you drop balls. Sometimes guys just aren't locked in, and things happen. Commit a stupid penalty. Watch it every week. Every weekend. I flip around. I see it everywhere. And then the tough teams, mentally and organizationally, the ones who have a proper culture, okay, they bounce back. I'm not trying to compare us to the New England Patriots, but if the Patriots get down 10-0 in the first quarter because they fumble the ball on their own 5 or something, all's not lost. I mean, they're going to continue to fight. All right, we got a game plan here. Let's go. Everybody settle down, focus in. And because there's just a way of doing things and competing and adhering to those principles, and and it's just not here yet. It's just not here. And that's what we talk about when we talk about culture. It's not in play yet. And here's the deal. Do I think it will happen? I do. But what you have now done is probably lost a good portion of the fan base. I don't know how much, but I say a good chunk. I'd say, what do you think, 30% of people who were in line with supporting Willie or thought, okay, I don't like that he doesn't have the career record or he doesn't have the name that I'm looking for or that he's not white. But, I'll give him a chance. And then this. And so people are apt, unfortunately, sadly, pathetically, to say, I'm done here. We're going another way. Obviously, you can critique Willie Taggart. It doesn't make you a racist. Obviously, you can be terribly disappointed with what you're seeing on the field, and it doesn't mean you're holding that against him because he's black. I'm not trying to blur those lines here with saying that any criticism of Willie Taggart and his staff is a reflection of some sort of inherent racism from a Southern fan base. I'm not, although that exists with this group just as it does many in the South. But that's not, by and large, the criticism I hear today. Luckily, thankfully, hopefully that's the way it continues to be, that if you want to criticize the lack of attention to detail, you can do so. I am right now. It angers me. It infuriates me. But I still believe in Willie, and I think a lot of it is, again, being bogged down by other problems in that locker room and off the field with certain guys that maybe that's what's gone missing, is that attention to detail, the focus on cleaning those things up because you're worried about a much bigger picture thing. The problem is those things, you're failing in that regard right now, and so now you got a double whammy here.
Would you categorize your concern in Willie Taggart as growing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just defining terms.
Yeah, I still believe in him. I still think he's the guy. I still think that he'll make necessary changes. I think that his level of kind of stoicism, the way he is probably something that concerns people because they don't see him freaking out. They don't see him freaking out the same way they are, either internally or outwardly, and they wonder, is this guy seeing what we're seeing?
Yeah.
But I don't worry about that. I think he's on fire inside right now. I think he's just doing a good job of maintaining a level-headed approach when he addresses these issues with the press or even on the sideline. He doesn't want to reveal panic. And I think if you're building something long-term and trying to show kids that this is going to be what we are moving forward, then you got to be who you are, and that is really who he is. He's subdued in that way in terms of showing emotion.
I thought he had an opportunity to really double down and hammer home a message today that he started on Saturday. And I'm not going to say he completely walked it back because he suspended 2 kids for throwing punches, and he said that they had a handful of other players and they're dealing with the matters internally. I respect that. Mm-hmm. I do. But I think that you were ringing a bell on Saturday using the Q word a bunch and talking about finding winners, finding players in the recruiting trail that, all right, I know that kid's going to do things the right way. I don't know why he approached I don't know what you could have done differently necessarily. I think people, maybe me too, would have been angry no matter what because I'm still mad about the loss and the way it happened. Mm-hmm. But when I read his quotes from Saturday, I thought, okay, good. You recognize the problem, and these are serious words you're speaking. You don't have to scream them, but you're speaking serious words. Mm-hmm. And today I thought he tempered that a little bit. And I don't know if that's a temperature issue with the locker room and he's trying to keep things on an even keel to get to the end of the season. But I thought he could have doubled down today, and he decided not to. We'll see what happens.
I don't think you do that in a press conference. You don't have to reveal which specific players you're going to bench, and you're not going to say the exact number of people you believe quit, and you're not going to say what you're going to do internally about disciplining them other than to say some guys aren't going to start for a half. He's not going to do it. And I have no problem with that.
Yeah, and I think one of the main reasons I have a bit of a frustration coming out of this game is I was already there before this game began. I would part ways with Nyquan Murray.
Yeah, well, maybe they will.
I would.
They might.
Why wouldn't you just do it now and be done with it?
Well, you may not kick him off the team, but you could suspend him and not play him.
You could, but I think implied with the first half thing is a full expectation that he's going to be playing. I don't know, man. You just don't want to be there. You're going to throw a punch in a moment like that. You don't want to be there. And listen, it's caught on camera.
Yeah, when he slams the helmet down.
He slams his helmet down to the concrete,
yeah.
walking the tunnel as Aguayo was making the kick to put our first points on the board.
Yeah.
At 45-3 or whatever the hell it was. But I'm sorry. I get it. It's a symbol, but it's an important symbol.
Yeah,
you can't two-hand chuck your helmet
into the cement.
That helmet.
No.
It's the reason you came here.
Well, okay. That's a much less important debate. What he does from a suspension standpoint, whether or not he keeps him around, that's more important than how we feel about that helmet and him slamming it against the cement.
But what I'm saying is that is more evidence to me that you don't want to be here.
Oh, there's evidence. There's been lots of evidence.
So goodbye.
But a number of years of evidence, right? This goes back a ways.
Yes.
We were saying this before the Michigan Bowl game in the Orange Bowl. I mean, we've talked lots of things about this.
You're making an example by suspending kids for a half, but you could have made a stronger one with that guy.
There are plenty of guys that I'd like to know how many of those guys exist in that locker room just in general, because that I don't have a handle on because I'm not in that locker room. I don't know how many guys we need to part ways with. Clearly, there's a handful, to use his word. There's a handful at the very least. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary.
This day in
sports history.
October 29th, 1960. Muhammad Ali, who at the time was fighting under the name Cassius Clay, had his first professional bout against Tony Hunsaker in his hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. The fight was only scheduled for 6 rounds, and Clay won on points. He arrived in a brand new pink Cadillac and walked away with $2,000. Not a bad day for an 18-year-old Muhammad Ali.
FSU fans know where to get the best barbecue. Willie Jewell's Old School Barbecue, 5442 Thomasville Road. Old School Barbecue, cooked low and slow. Find out for yourself what all the buzz is about. And when it comes to tailgating, Willie Jewell's does it best. Get the barbecue tailgate special, pork, brisket, chicken, ribs, turkey, and wings with all the fixins. Ready to make your tailgate the place to pregame. The football team has new blood, but when it comes to barbecue, it's old school. Willie Jewell's Old School Barbecue, 5442 Thomasville Road. Go Noles.
Sport Clips Haircuts Help a Hero program funds scholarships for United States veterans who are pursuing a college degree or vocational certification. Check in online and visit your nearest Sport Clips to learn more and donate from October 15th through November 11th.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Save on your next oil change with 5 quarts of Valvoline Max Life Motor Oil and a MicroGuard filter on sale now for the same price of Valvoline Conventional at $26.99. Extend the life of your vehicle and improve engine performance with Valvoline at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I give to you easy laundry service from my friends at Wash Around the Clock. Oh, buddy, this is a game changer. If you're like me, your life is hectic. Between work, school, your kids' sporting events and activities, well, it leaves you precious little time to kick back and take a load off. About the last thing you want to do is hours of laundry, but there it sits, staring at you, taunting. No more. That's right. More watching, less washing. Save hours of valuable time when you sign up not doing laundry with easy laundry service from Wash Around the Clock. Whether it's dry cleaning or just plain laundry, Wash Around the Clock's easy laundry service will pick up and deliver at your home or office. So sign up for free today at easylaundry.net, or you can give them a call, 850-597-9007. Again, sign up today at easylaundry.net. Oh, and by the way, I got you. Use promo code JCS20 and save 20%. That's promo code JCS20. You're saving 20% on your first order. That's easylaundry.net from Wash Around the Clock.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
That was quick. 14.5 LSU home dogs to Alabama. Probably set that at 21, but 14.5. So I was looking at Syracuse and Virginia getting ranked after breaking long runs of being unranked. 7 teams moved into the AP college football poll after 11 ranked teams lost this weekend. Alabama and LSU 1-4. Michigan was idle. Clemson and Notre Dame won easily, obviously.
Yeah, Clemson survived. They did.
They somehow made it through their road test. But, man, I was watching a whole bunch of bad football teams this weekend, starting with us. Top of the list, starting with us. But, everybody from just watching that Georgia-Florida game, Florida didn't have a quarterback. Georgia's not what they were last year at all, but they're better, obviously, than Florida. Penn State should have lost to Iowa. There's just a lot of teams you look around. Texas did lose, as we thought they would do against Oklahoma State on the road, because that's
what they do until further notice.
And we know that Oklahoma State team's not any good.
Oh, man. They've had some real clunkers.
Yeah. It's just crazy. You look through this list of teams. Texas A&M lost again. That's their third loss. They're 4-3 against Division I teams this year, but by all means, celebrate the great job he's doing in year one. I don't get that. They're still ranked. That's why I said that. They're 25th. What are we doing here? Boston College, nice win over Miami. Apparently Miami's about to call it a day.
Yeah. BC had that one on lockdown.
Yep. Virginia 6-2. That's bravo, boys. That's a big. They're 2 wins away from a banner year
That's
in
right.
Charlottesville,
Oh my
buddy.
God, they're closing in.
Banner year.
6 wins.
They're 6-2.
They're bowl eligible. Feet up on the desk. It's not even November.
Syracuse is 6-2, knocking off NC State.
Bowl eligible. Feet up on the desk. That's an extension for Dino.
Look at this. Look at number 25 through 10. 25 through 10. Look at these teams. Now we're sorry as hell. So don't get me wrong. I'm not pointing fingers. We can't crack that list. So believe me, I understand where we sit. Texas A&M, Boston College, Virginia, Syracuse, Mississippi State, Fresno State, Iowa, Utah State, Houston, Utah, Texas, Penn State, Florida, West Virginia, Kentucky, Washington State. Those are 15 teams that I just named that are in the top 25, and none of them are any good at all. That's
just because you have to have 25.
You have to have 25. Right, that's my point. You have to have 25. They're a lot better than we are. I got it. I can feel everybody getting all upset. I went to Mississippi State. We're a lot better than you are this year. Yes. That's not saying anything.
Yes, Mickey Mouse.
Yes, we're I got it. Just those teams are all terribly flawed. Not as flawed as us.
Good luck playing our defense.
It's just so frustrating. I don't know. We should just go home. Not before I tell you about MyPillow.com. You'll sleep
Rest
comfortably.
easy.
Yeah, even in the wake of a beatdown like the one we took at the hands of Clemson this week. And just rest your head on that perfectly shaped MyPillow from MyPillow.com. I've got one. My wife's got one. And you too could have one with the extension of the money-back guarantee and the warranty all the way through to March. That's doing some things. Buy one, get one free currently. Go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code 979ESPN. That's right, the promo code 979ESPN. You're all set. Make it happen. Promo code. Get you a MyPillow. They're comfortable.
Over under 200 passing yards for James Blackman this week.
Yeah, you think that's the deal there, right?
I don't know. I found it interesting that Willie was suddenly open to talking about it, even if it was through the veil of injury. And reps.
Yeah. Felt like it, didn't it? It felt like maybe the door was open.
That's an interesting answer.
It did. It felt like the door was open. You know what we should do as we go to break here, since we were so long-winded in the opener, but it was required? We should just celebrate the fact that we had a Hell to the Nah Team of the Week, make it happen, and we've got the sound to prove it. We can celebrate together and come back and wrap it up momentarily.
Jack Colletto turns it upfield, and he's into the end zone. Touchdown, Oregon State. Luton trying the fade route, and it's caught. Touchdown. What an effort by Isaiah Hodgins. Montez throws, and Oregon State, a miraculous comeback is finished. The Beavers have won in Boulder.
Hell no. To the no, no, no. Hell to the yes. Hell to the no. To the no, 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 no.
Across the Florida Panhandle. Like Tallahassee was beat up and bruised, our neighbors from Apalachicola to Panama City, their lives will be changed forever. Hearts and prayers go out to all affected. And while there is devastation, there is hope, because Floridians are strong and we take care of our own. I have traveled with the Red Cross and have seen much of the devastation in person. The pouring in of help from volunteers that are neighbors and strangers alike is incredible and is what makes us all proud to be Americans. Also, if your vehicle was damaged by the storm, you automatically qualify for Nissan's factory employee pricing, which is up to $1,500 under invoice. In addition, you keep all rebates or 0% interest on most models. And Nissan Corporate has just announced no payments until 2019. It's Nissan's way of helping our neighbors, and Kraft Nissan will put an additional $1,000 on all trades. But my main message today is to do what you can do to continue helping, whether your time or your treasure. This is going to be a long process, but I promise you, Kraft Nissan will continue to help until the job is done.
Game Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. It's Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachian Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer.
Nice Tire and Auto, just minutes away from FSU campus.
Makita cordless specials are heating up at Cornerstone Tool and Fastener in October. Buy a Makita brushless premium 5 amp hour kit with 2 batteries and get a 6 amp hour battery free. Plus, get your choice of the following: brushless recip saw, circular saw, 1/2-inch impact drill, or a Bluetooth radio. Get rid of the gas with the Makita outdoor power equipment. Buy a brushless chainsaw or blower kit and receive 4 5 amp hour batteries and a dual bay chamber. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener with 2 locations to choose from: 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturdays 8 until noon.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. The Browns are starting over again. The team fired head coach Hugh Jackson and offensive coordinator Todd Haley. There were rumblings the relationship between the two had deteriorated to the point a move might have to be made. Since 2016 under Jackson, the Browns 36-1, and were last in the league in several categories, including offensive efficiency and points per game. The firings, not surprising, says ESPN's Tim Hasselbeck.
And even though they've added probably better talent onto that football team than has been there the last couple of years, they just didn't appear to be a team that was improving, to be honest with you, when you watch them. And I think you could be certainly critical of the offensive side of the ball, which is Hugh Jackson's background.
Browns have named defensive coordinator Greg Williams their interim coach. The Bills and Patriots cap off Week 8 on Monday Night Football, 8:15 Eastern, ESPN TV and the ESPN app. New England's won 31 of the last 35 meetings. Tom Brady 28-3 all-time versus Buffalo. After missing the last game with back and ankle injuries, Pat's tight end Rob Gronkowski is expected to play. NBA, Toronto's Kawhi Leonard and Milwaukee's Giannis Antetokounmpo will both miss tonight's showdown of 6-0 teams. Raptors are resting Leonard, while Giannis is in the concussion protocol and will not play. Pelicans will be without Anthony Davis a second straight game against the Nuggets tonight because of a sprained elbow. ESPN's Brian Windhorst and Adrian Wojnarowski reporting Cavaliers forward Kevin Love could be sidelined over a month with an injured left toe. NHL, Maple Leafs star Austin Matthews expected to miss at least 4 weeks with a shoulder injury. Matthews told reporters he does not need surgery on that shoulder. And the Red Sox have scheduled their World Series championship parade for Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hit the Try a Sleep song by Low. Just kind of evens you out a little bit.
It's either that or Look at You by My Morning Jacket, which I did hit earlier today.
Well, part of the problem is the World Series is over, so you don't have baseball. Boston wins. They were the best team in the regular season, the best team in the postseason. It's not often that you have a team who's historically great pull off the caper of dominance in both, but they did, and congratulations to the Red Sox. I actually feel good for David Price, who's rewritten the narrative on him forevermore. That was really remarkable what he did, but not all that surprising. But you don't have that to fall back on, meaning the World Series or postseason baseball. Lightning don't play until tomorrow against the Devils.
Yep.
And so, I mean, there is hockey tonight, and there's Monday Night Football tonight. I didn't even double check. What do we got Monday night?
That's right. Tonight is Monday Night Football, and it features a couple of teams.
You would not want to watch New England versus Buffalo.
That's right.
But I will watch because one of those is on my fantasy team. That said, beats a night without football. 5-2 Patriots, 2-5 Buffalo. And we'll have it for you right here on 97. No, we don't.
We will. Yeah, 7:30.
Oh, we do? Yeah.
No, we have that game tonight.
Why'd you shake your head?
I was shaking my head that I don't know that I'm going to watch it. I don't know. Probably not. I'll pass, I think.
Not going to watch football? Going to watch a show, catch up on something? Maybe read a book?
I think, you know what?
Maybe get away a little bit?
Yeah, a little therapy, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the other problem. I mean, here we are. We've got you want to – hey, listen. There are a lot of people whose teams aren't playing well. We have the shared misery of being Knowles. But if you're a Buck and Knoll like Tom and I, brothers, sisters, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Enjoy each other's company. Now the franchise quarterback has gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Crisis of confidence. Never thought I'd see it from that guy, but he's shot. When do you play him again? You can't start him this week.
You can't start him this week.
No, you can't start him this week. But what do you do? Oh. What do you do, Tom Lang? We're in dire straits. I'm looking for answers.
You start hitting golf balls. The off season is here. You start hitting golf balls.
Well, at least with Florida State football, I will say, I am intrigued to see how they come out and play against NC State. It's not like the Wolfpack have been tearing it up as of late. They've dropped 2 straight. They, too, were manhandled, not in the same fashion that we were, but their season has gone up in flames. And so I am kind of curious, and we'll see. I mean, you asked the question, and as we wrap it up, what is there left to see or that, can be won, or how does Willie take a step forward in the eyes of the fans? What has to happen? Well, again, I think you get younger here. I think you play those guys that are your future, and you see a team that, even in defeat, which is going to happen, they're not going to stop losing games. They've got losses on the horizon here. But if they play well, play better, play smarter, play harder, those are all things that you would hang your hat on. Somewhere in there, you'd like there to be another win, and that's possible, I suppose, but can't have this. Can't have guys loafing, not playing hard, and undisciplined all at the same time.
I mean, you can make a joke at anything I'm about to say, and there could be a punchline, a sarcastic comeback. But I really did believe, and immediately when the game was over, I was buoyed by the ability to be in it, play for play with Clemson for as long as we were in it, until there was self-destruction and a lack of morale. And I hate that might undercut what looked to be real progress there. We competed with them better than I thought they would, or better than I thought either side of the ball really would, through 4 or 5 drives for each side. Plays were there to be made on offense. You shoot yourself in the foot 5 different ways, and then on defense, we covered well. We stopped the run well. There's a lot to like about that, but I hope the poison element of this roster doesn't undercut what that means, because that projects to us being able to compete with NC State, even Notre Dame, Boston College, and Florida. We should be able to compete with each one of those teams, but we got to care to be there.
Well, that's a big one. You got to find a way, and you can't allow for guys to quit on you, and frankly, it's the kind of thing that in many cases does lead to an ass kick, and the good news is those are largely upperclassmen, and so you have an option here. Look, you also got to start doing something on special teams to give yourself a fighting chance. The average starting field position for Florida State in this game was the 21.5. For Clemson, it was the 44.5.
We should have known that first return was the kiss of death.
Also, stop doing that. Stop returning.
Touch
the ball
back
to
to
25. Let's go, man. Just do it. Good work out of you, sir. I believe the first reaction from the Front Row Knowles guys is up next, and then we'll take you to Monday Night Football. Good work, Matthew. Be well, everybody. Have a great night. Stay tuned for all of that, and we'll be with you again tomorrow. Take care.